we have one item on the agenda, discussion, request for proposals for sanitation sewer. Can I turn that over to you, Ms. Fiona?
Good evening. We're here to have presentations from the top three bidders on this proposal, and they're all here. So if you'd like to start, you will have information in your booklet. We'll start with Mr. Belmore from Atlantic Waste. I've given each 5 minutes, and then after each person, you can have, if you have any questions, you can ask them at that time.
Okay, we can do here, we're going to give 5 minutes to each vendor to make a final presentation, and if anyone has any additional questions to ask, and can respond to that. Try to keep each one about 10 so we can be pretty ready for our regular meeting. Sound good? You said Atlantic Waste is first?
Yes, Mr. Belmore from Atlantic Waste.
Is this the same stuff that you gave us, it's in our book? Or you changed some of it?
It's in your book, but there's more information. There's references and other things in that folder. Commissioner.
Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Ben Wall. I'm with Atlantic Waste Services, and I'd like to thank you for allowing me the time to speak tonight. What we're here on is to discuss the county's proposal to award a contract to a new service provider for garbage collection. And the way that this got started is, a few years ago, we started receiving phone calls about some poor service in Effingham, and we, Atlantic Waste, began to start analyzing what potentially were the problems that we were hearing from Effingham County and the citizens and some of our employees and the staff and commissioners. And then this actually came about that the county was actually going to put this service out to bid. And when we started investigating some of the problems that what we saw is that there were problems with damaged carts, cans that weren't getting picked up and replaced, that were thrown out along the streets, trash that was getting missed, hydraulic leaks. If somebody had extra waste on the side of their cart, say if they had a party or Christmas, something to that effect, the waste was not getting picked up. And what we did is, when this bid came out, we looked at how are we going to provide a bid that would alleviate the service issues that the citizens of Effingham County were experiencing. And what we did is we came up with a plan that would, use rear loading trucks. These trucks are ideal for a situation where y'all have been experiencing these problems. They are less likely to damage cans and carts, less likely to put them, in a ditch. They don't leave lids open for rainwater collect. You've got probably the number one benefit of having rear loader service is it is a two-man operation. And the two-man operation allows for there to be a second set of eyes. That's for safety concerns. It helps, with leaks. If there ever is a leak on the truck, you have somebody that's on the back of the truck that sees something going on, so you can stop right there and assess the problem, fix the problem, not go all the way through a neighborhood before you realize that there's a problem. One of the things that we also priced in was a route supervisor, to go throughout Effingham County and check behind these trucks to look at and make sure that they're operating safely, they're picking up all the trash, they're not leaving a mess, they're not leaving the carts strode out along the county. One of the things that also I feel like, puts us in an advantage is we hot stamp our phone number on every cart. I know that, and speaking with the staff, is they get a lot of phone calls about service failures and issues, and that they don't have a number to call, or they call their current service provider and they get a phone number in North Carolina or Phoenix or somewhere that's not local. Our number is a 912-964-2000, and they can call and speak to somebody live in Pooler that knows where Effingham County is, knows where these houses and these people are, and we can react very fast. We put GPSs on all our trucks to ensure that we know every street they went down, and we can actually give that to your staff so they can know where the trucks are and where they've been. Another thing is we've gone to a great deal of expense, and we've got a customer service portal. So if we ever do have a miss, we keep in touch with that customer, and it tracks all the way through the process from the time that it's reported, who was assigned to, how it's followed up on, all the way to completion, to ensure that, hey, it was handled properly and it was handled in a timely manner.
Sorry, I'm
Yes.
going to interrupt.
Yes.
Back 5 minutes.
Okay. Is there any questions?
I have one about this, roll out the back door service, manual per household pickup. And Atlantic's got on here $200 per year on what everybody pays, and then there's another $200 fee on top of that if they have to pick it up, and that's not very clear in this.
All right. The rollout cart service is if the increase is if you were an able-bodied citizen. Say if you're 35 years old and you're perfectly capable of rolling your cart out to the street, but you choose not to, and you just want us to come out behind your kitchen and pick up your garbage, that was an extra fee. Now, if you are a handicapped citizen or an elderly citizen, and you are, have good reason for needing.
Somebody says that you can't move it out.
Yeah, then we'll come, and as long as we know about it, we'll come do it. We'll come to the back of the house
Is that
and
the
get
current
there.
service that we're receiving from our current provider, is that if someone's disabled?
Yes, we do that. That's pretty standard throughout.
Is that a service our current provider is providing for us?
Yes, but in here, it's just, the way I read it, I checked pretty closely, and I just wanted to ask that question, because
It's a good
it
question.
sounds like they don't know about it. They pay $200 a year for the service, and if they wanted that service, regardless, they had, and I want to know if it was old people that has a doctor's appointment says they can't take it out there, they were going to charge them another $200, but he.
No,
I got them.
Well, our current provider will provide that service.
Yeah, if they're medically, they have a letter from the doctor.
There's no additional fee for that right now. It wouldn't be, okay.
and so there would be no fee if it was, if you're elderly or if you have a medical condition, you're handicapped, that there is no extra fee. And that's in the bid specs. I believe all the waste haulers, are charging extra for that.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
Any questions for Attorney Waste?
Would you like to speak to the next representative? Mr. Dixon? It's Mr. Matt Dixon from Republic Service.
Good afternoon, Randy Dixon, Republic Services. First, we appreciate y'all inviting us tonight. It's an honor to be considered one of the top 3 haulers that you chose to come here and present before you. We'd like to thank the community, the board for the opportunity to work for you on your behalf for the past 20 years. Obviously, to be allowed to service a contract for that period of time requires some appreciation and trust from a community. During that time, we've been an integral part of the community. Over 50 employees and family members that live here, work here, pay taxes here, go to school here, donated thousands of dollars over the 20 years to local projects, events, and organizations, such as your school systems, Chamber of Commerce, Habitat for Humanity, Relay for Life, and many other organizations. Nationally, we service 14 million customers a week. Out of Savannah, we service 42 municipal contracts, 120,000 homes a week out of this business unit. The average age of those contracts is 17 years. Customers stick with us an average of 17 years. Republic Services is the company here tonight with long-term goals and sustainability in this community. We desire to be here another 20 years. Our business is not built off the model of acquiring municipal contracts and eventually selling off to other haulers in the market. We've offered the county a proposal to reduce the cost to your citizens by $1.5 million without making a single change to their collections and inconveniencing your citizens. That includes adding new trucks to the county contract and dedicating 5 additional employees, including route supervisors, dispatchers, cart delivery, and 2 drop center personnel. That means no change, no switching out of 35,000 carts on your street, not adding more trucks to your road, not changing collection days, times, routes, inconveniencing your citizens, all while offering them a $1.5 million savings over current. Our current track reliability rate in this county is 99.9991%. We send daily reports back and forth with your personnel here in the county office. We average 24 complaints a week coming into your phones here. That's out of picking up 25,000 customers per week. So I ask you this, is 0.0009% worth making a decision that may cost your citizens over $4 million over the life of this contract? $4 million for 24 call-ins to this office a week. Is it worth trying out a new service provider that's unproven in this county or of any contract of this size? We're the only company here that services anything this size and have for the past 3 years. The only one that meets the qualification standards of a 3-year contract this size. We proposed the safest, most economical proposal to the county. Based on our experience in this county, we know it's not suited for rear load collection. It would be inherently dangerous to go with rear load collection. Automated collection is utilized and was utilized by 5 of the 6 proposers here because 70% of accidents and fatalities in our industry come from rear load collection. Our priority is the safety of our employees and the safety of your citizens on the roads of Effingham. We're not going to have employees hanging off the back of a truck, going a half mile between stops, crossing 4 lanes of Highway 21 during morning rush hour in the middle of the rain. We're not going to have someone running out the street getting hit by a school bus or a truck passing by, ending up in your ditch rather than a cart ending up in your ditches. Republic's the only company here tonight that qualifies based on the requirements of the RFP. We're the only company here with the experience managing contracts of this size, as we currently manage 4 contracts in the local market of equal or larger size with a 17-year history on those contracts on average. We are the lowest, most responsible bidder based on the parameters set forth in this RFP. You don't always know what you're going to get with change. It's easy to look in from the outside and make promises. However, I do know that we have provided excellent service and value to this community. We are an industry leader in safety, 42% safer than the industry average. We have the best drivers in the industry: Charles, Tika, Henry, Devin, Kia, Tim, Sarah, Delvin, Glenn, and Keith, whom are residents of your county, and many of here are here tonight. We have provided a 20-year history of service and dedicated community partnership in Effingham County. We know that we offer a better value to this county than what seems to be presented prior to this meeting. We respectfully request that the Commission consider extending their partnership with Republic Services. We appreciate it.
Any questions for the public from the board?
Thank you.
You realize we're here today doing this because of the calls that we've had.
Okay.
That's the reason we have this thing. We
So,
decided.
yeah, so when that came up, we sat down with Toss and Stephanie. I came to meetings every week, and we sat in there and went through a call log of the calls that come in here. And like I pointed out today, in the probably 10 months that we've been managing that, we get 24 calls in here a week. And that is
It's
communicated.
the little things. I live over in Bay Ridge Estates.
Right.
I came home last Tuesday, and there's obviously a seal leak on the back of your truck.
Okay.
It squished all the
Right.
juice.
Okay.
It was all through the neighborhood.
Right. You don't think
That's the basic.
everybody's trucks do that? You think it's just
I
ours?
don't know. I just know we've experienced it.
We all drive the same trucks.
I'm not trying to argue.
I
I'm just
know.
telling you the complaints that
I
I've.
understand. Understand. And like I said, we manage those on a daily basis with your staff.
The problem is just replace the seal. It's obvious that's.
Oh, well, we're proposing new trucks, so you wouldn't have a problem with that.
We should have, maybe the shield seals were replaced last year, we wouldn't be even here.
Maybe so.
But anyway,
Appreciate it.
that's
Appreciate the comments.
the
Yeah.
reason.
Okay.
So you're saying there's only 24?
Yeah, we keep up with the log with the county on a weekly basis. We average 24
Was it,
a week.
So that would be 100 a month.
was that log full?
It's out of 25,000 drive-bys a week.
Joanne, I had asked about that log before I got here.
Yes, sir.
Where is
Wesley
that?
has a copy.
Now, this log here,
Yes, sir.
looking here, this is fine print that was given to me of the complaints, just in 2017. Now, just before my time, but it looks like there's a lot of issues with carts.
Complaints and deliveries, yeah. You're right.
And busted carts and
Right, and that's what we track, how we address those, and the time that we do address those is all on those charts.
Let me chime in a few comments, and I apologize to everyone here for having to come in a few minutes late, it didn't be avoided. A couple of things that just I will say from my own vote and my perspective. I've been on the county commission for 6.5 years. The highest complaint level that I receive on the telephone is to do with trash. I don't know about how everyone else here feels, but I believe that no one wants to change one of our vendors ever easily. You know, it is a big undertaking to change a vendor. So if there's a way to prevent from doing that, we attempt to do it. And I certainly believe that on our end, there's pretty strong evidence that we attempted to work really hard with you guys to get the service level up. Way prior to you coming, I do not remember his last name, but Tim, what was Tim's last name?
Wow.
Lau?
Yeah.
When I first restarted seeing an inordinate number of complaints, I contacted him and we met at the loft for 3.5 hours. And at the end of that meeting, with him telling me all sorts of things that were going to be done to prevent hydraulic leaks, trash in the roads, carts broken up, wheels broken up, calls to my house on a regular basis. That's the goal, prevent all that, right? And given the time to do it, be reasonable and fair. And at that point, we established an employee here at Effingham County that probably half of her day every day was dealing with that issue, one way or another. She had to create a log, she had to work the log, she had to call the customers, she had to make everybody aware and be sure the problem was fixed. So to that regard, it looks to anybody here like we just tried to treat you guys badly and unfairly. That has not occurred, period.
No one's ever done that.
And when I hear, different things brought up to try to make the public concerned about, all of a sudden we're going to make some decisions that is completely unsafe and that type of thing, there is plenty of, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
There is plenty of unsafety going around in everybody's location as far as your business is concerned. I mean, because of your hydraulic leaks, one of your trucks caught fire in our subdivision. It was a very serious possible injury to things like that. So everybody in your industry has some level of issues. You said 70% accidents and fatalities. Can't be both. Is it accidents or fatalities? I don't know about the rear load, but I do know that I like the idea as far as customer service, as far as lessening the hydraulic usage because of the very safety issue that hydraulic oil causes on our roads and what our citizens constantly say to me about that. And as far as having a body, an individual that can see when things are missed and that can help place the cart, there are definitely possible things that we like there. And the only thing I can say from my perspective is at this point in time, it seems like that we've had enough complaints over a long period of time that have not been properly addressed, that we try to be part of helping address, that we put county money to address, that at this point in time it makes sense to give someone an opportunity to see if they can also provide us a better job or not. That's my perspective.
Thank you.
there's an item I want to address, but I may not have time to address it now, but I'm going to raise it so you can be prepared for it. I heard a public make a statement that there was like $4 million over a 5-year period. And I'm calculating for the sum that's going to give it to the board, it's on $1.5 million, $300,000 difference in the two bidders. So we are looking at the most responsive bidder and service. That we reconcile if we could, but not right now, because we need to give the other candidate a chance to present to us tonight as well. And that'll take us up to the top of our public hearing. We have to do at 5 o'clock, so I'll be fair to the other vendor.
I actually want clarification that I was told that in the long run, the price would end up being no additional cost to the county, so I want to understand
So
that.
if you could address those for us when we come back. Okay, we may have to do it in
I don't know if you need to
the
get
agenda item tonight. If you don't hang around the agenda item, we may have to address that in the agenda item. But if you could, go ahead and move on to the last one.
Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Sullivan from Old Green Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, staff, Madam Clerk. I'm going to have to hurry to get this done in 5 minutes. I appreciate this opportunity, and I thank Republic and Atlantic for their presentations and their effort at your business. I want to talk real quick about your evaluation method. First of all, I want to introduce my brother, Will, who is the founder of All Green Services, and it's his 25th anniversary, so your business is very important to him, and we got to get him back home to his wife soon. But your evaluation method in your RFP had weighted factors. 45% was price. 5% was based on innovative and cost-effective service. So I had 45 and 5 together, and the way I look at your weighted evaluation is 50% is based on the cost of the proposal. The other 50% has a number of factors, but it's all about the service provider's track record, proven ability to get the job done, experience. So I want to talk about that first. All Green has been in business for 10 years. Will and I have been in the industry for 28 years. We currently service the city of Swainsboro, city of Twin Cities, city of Stillmore, city of Oak Park, Evans County, city of Daisy, Hamner County, city of Claxton, city of Reedsville, city of Glenville, Garfield, Brooklyn, city of Pulaski, city of Collins, city of Wadley, city of Hagen, Tattnall County, and Emmanuel County. Every week, every month, we pick up 92,000 residential carts with our trucks. We have more than 3 years experience, which was a requirement in municipal contracts. Some of our contracts are entering their 8th and 9th years. We have never, in the history of our being in the business in 28 years, never had lost a city or county contract due to poor service. It's never happened in our history. We've implemented curbside programs from scratch. We did this county from scratch when you used to be dumpsters in 1997. We've done it in transitional stages from one vendor to another. So we have a lot of experience doing this very thing. We'll give you great personal service. We have real people that answer the phone, and you'll have one point of contact, and that's me. We'll provide all brand new trucks. Not less than 3 years old. They're less than a week old. When they pick up trash in Effingham County, they will be brand new trucks and cars. And we've got all the financing ready to order everything we need to get this contract started. I want to talk about the price now, that other 50% of your evaluation method. Based on Fiona's document, this is Fiona's document. There's 100 variables here, I'm just going to give you one. That's the price for trucks less than 3 years old without the attendant answering the phone. That's what I think is probably the most common bid. We are $2,303,542.35 less than Republic. That's $33,392 per month. The $2 million is over 5 years. We are $4,665,025.35 over 5 years less than Atlantic Waste. That is $77,750 per month. Now, I understand there's been a recommendation made, and I know there's some discussion about the rear loader versus automated, and I want to talk about that. But we are $2,875,870 lower over 5 years. That's $47,000 a month than the new negotiated rate with Atlantic Waste. Nobody has ever asked us what kind of trucks we were going to use. We did not bid any specific type of truck. we don't believe that there's one truck that fits all. We use rear loaders in our operation. We use manual side loaders in our operation. We use automated side loaders in our operation. There's not one truck that fits all. I do agree that rear loaders with that guy hanging on the back, on the side of that step that's the size of a cut-off 2x4 is very dangerous. And so we prefer manual side loaders. It's the same thing as that. Instead of loading from the back, the helper is in the cab of the truck. Just like this, he steps out, the cart is right there, he attaches it to the flipper and it goes in the truck. It's the same thing as a rear loader, except from the side, and it keeps the guys in the cab of the truck. We feel like that's a lot safer. Now, we can do it all manual. That's what I call manual collection. Rear load is manual collection. Manual side loader is manual collection. An automated side loader is one guy in the cab of the truck. But I can do this county with 8 guys in automated, and I got to do it with 16 with rear loaders. So it's a payroll issue. But we can do it that way if that's what the county wanted. We thought and we felt, because your evaluation method had such a high weighting on cost, that what you wanted was the most innovative, cost-effective service that you could get. So that's the way we approached it. If you want manual collection, we can do it for $14.50. That's cheaper than this other rate. But that's not what we bid, because we thought you wanted the most cost-effective method. If you've checked our references, and I know you have, because our references told us that you called them, I certainly would expect the feedback that you got was excellent. I've been doing this a long time, never had a contract we lost for bad service. If you vote for Allgreen, we'll do you a great job, and we'll give you great personal service.
I know it's 5 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
We've got to address one quick question for you, and then may ask you to hang around. Okay, Commissioner, for agenda item 9.
Yes, sir.
We have one reference from county, Wayne County. Would you be prepared to address that later if it's not a positive reference?
Sure.
Okay. Are you familiar that you had a difficult?
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay. Be ready to share that. We will have to go to, I'm told by the clerk, we have this public hearing right at 5 o'clock. Can we continue the workshop for 5 more minutes to answer these few questions at the end before we begin our regular agenda? Do we need to,
If you feel you need to, you can. I mean, it is the very next item on the agenda.
okay, we may just do it. Boys, just do the agenda item if we want to. Additional questions?
Actually,
You can go here without the attorney again.
Leah's here.
He's here. Yeah, why don't we leave? Thank you. We'll get back.
Thank you.
It's early on the agenda, so for those who are involved in the sanitation might want to hang around for additional questions.
We do have 4 issues.
Get my agenda out. You ready to call me? We're going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order for August 15, 2017. It is 5 o'clock. I'm asking to rise for invocation, and you may stand for the pledge of allegiance. Father, we're so thankful that you are Lord of all, and that tonight you will provide the wisdom and the knowledge and the ability to make appropriate decisions. We lean totally on you, and without your encouragement, without your wisdom, we can do nothing. So we thank you for your presence tonight. We invite you to be a part of this fellowship with us as we make decisions that are important to this community and also important to your kingdom as well. So bless all who are here and all those who have taken time to attend. And we thank you now in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Mr. Chairman, our leader for the 4-H tonight is Ms. Abby Kane. She is an 11th grade student at ECHS and attends STEM programs at the Effingham College and Career Academy. She serves as the Vice President of Educational Programs for the Effingham 4-H Leadership Team, and she stays involved in 4-H programs at the county, district, and state levels. Abby is also a Georgia 4-H certified team leader, where she spends much of her time working with and encouraging younger 4-H members. She recently attended State 4-H Congress in Atlanta and placed second in the state in the project area of engineering and mechanics. Abby is a true leader and always demonstrates excellence in all she does.
You're almost as busy as the members of this board. I'm going to turn this mic to you this way, and you can lead us in the pledge if you would.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you for your involvement in the program. We have the agenda before us now. Stephanie, there was an item added to the agenda. We need to make.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you look at your amended agendas there, we need to add as new business, number 14, consideration for approval to accept the bid from Christian and execute a real estate contract for sale of the surplus property located at 2720 Highway 21 South. Now, for 2980 parcel 18A, we could add this item to new business number 14.
So I have a motion to approve the agenda with adding item number 14 for contract bid.
Make a motion to approve with the, adding number 14.
Motion, Mr. Worker, second by Mr. Charles Floyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have an agenda. Consideration to approve the minutes of the August 1st, 2017 workshop, regular session meeting, dated August 8, 2017, and special call minutes.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper, to approve the minutes as given. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. Remind the public item, have other comments made on any agenda item, please keep them to the agenda item if you would. If you can make your comments in 2 minutes or less, that's very helpful to others who might want to comment, so we don't have an extended time for people all get a chance to share. I remind you that all these documents were put on the website and been advertised. Hope you get a chance to review those documents and prepare for the meeting tonight. So with that, we're going to move into our public hearing. We're going to open our public hearing regarding our millage rate. And so, Ms. Chairman, you want to help us with that?
Yes, sir. Tonight, we're doing our public hearing on the resolution to levy our 2017 taxes. If you will, turn to your packets. Your packets have updated sheets within them. You will see within your folders both the PT 35 from the tax commissioner, along with the resolution to levy our 2017 taxes. Currently, as this board is aware, the board has elected to provide a separate millage for the unincorporated services in lieu of payments to the cities. This is a separate millage of 1.75, taken off of what has been in the past our overall standard millage. When we look at the PT 32, the PT 32 showed a rollback of 8.308. So we used the 8.308 minus the 1.75. That's how we came to the 6.558 that is showing on your sheets. So on your resolution, you will see for county government purposes, 6.558. For the hospital and indigent care, 2.31. The industrial authority of 2. The Board of Education has given us theirs, which they adopted, of 17.50. And then the special, which we split off from our standard village, of the 1.75 for county public works, roads, and recreation. That comes to a total of 30.118 for the overall millage for the resolution for 2017. We simply ask for your approval of both the documents for the PT 32, the PT 35, and the resolution to enact the millage.
Okay, we're in public hearing, so we look for any public comment.
I just would like the board to recognize the tax commissioner and the tax assessor who are here, who support what has been explained by the finance director.
We appreciate you guys very much. Y'all work very well with the board. and I thank you so much. You can answer all the questions tonight. Get nothing to add.
That's your job.
Any questions from anyone in the attendance tonight regarding the millage rate? There's actually a very modest decrease to the county-wide
That's correct.
millage rate.
Overall.
Very modest. And the rate, yes, ma'am.
There's going to be a separate.
Can you come up to the microphone, please? We have for the record, and just give your name and ask your question. We'll try to answer for you.
Yes, my name is Marie Reddick. My question is, why did they say there would be a separate millage for the unincorporated Effingham?
I'll feel that that's okay. In the past, did we, in service delivery, have negotiated those services that are for the unincorporated area primarily? And we separated those out in a separate fund and pay for those separately. There are a couple of services, roads and recreation, that have traditionally been paid from the general fund that were not part of the countywide tax digest. So to be fair to those citizens inside the incorporated area, we calculated the revenues that came from the incorporated area that were used on our roads and recreation for the incorporated area, and gave that back to the cities to use for roads and recreation. That way, countywide monies were used proportionally countywide to all citizens. The difference now is we're not giving it back to the cities, we're giving it back to the residences. So that they'll actually get the money back in their pocket. If the local governments would like to have that money for additional road recreation, they're free to tax it. We didn't feel like it's fair for us to tax you for services inside the city and then give it back to the city. So it's a
You answered.
fair tax.
Thank you.
Transparency more than anything else, right? Any other questions? I appreciate the commission, finance, and all those who work hard to provide budgets that allow us to continue to operate. I don't know if the constituents realize that our values went down tremendously. Most of us do in 2008, 9. And, because of certain laws, we have not been able to recoup those values. So it has been miraculous that this board has been able to keep the millage rate without any increase. For all this time, we've literally lost over $1 million annually in revenues and had to do that through budget cuts and tightening the belt and bids and so forth. So,
Every year. And we made it up through budget cuts rather than tax increase every year for like 6 years.
so we've lost millions of dollars of revenue due to the fall of the economy and values. And where others have experienced increases in their millage, we've been able to manage. I can't include myself, I want part of the board, this board, with Mr. Miller, see what these things say. So with that explanation, any other comments about the millage rate? See now, I'll close the public hearing. Okay. And we can move into old business. Okay. So first item of old business is consideration to approve, to authorize the chairman and EMA director to sign a recipient, sub-recipient agreement with the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency. Mr. Flint?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commission. What we'd like to ask this evening is we have the last two of our FEMA reimbursement grants from Hurricane Matthew, and we request the authorization. You have one large project and one small project, which the large project is anything that's over $123,100. And the first project, which is a small project, is the emergency protective measures, which was the immediate events leading up to and generally about 24 hours after the storm. And then the other one was the ditch pulley. And after extensive review of FEMA policies, what we initially requested from them, we would like to decrease a small amount, which was included in y'all's gray folders, I do believe. But with that being said, the local match is 12.5% for both projects. For project 450, which is the emergency protective measures, the local cost share is $14,326.80. And for project 593, which is the ditch pulling and grading work, the local match is $39,604.55.
Where can I find the agenda information on this particular item? I know it was on the last meeting. I didn't read my last meeting.
And you have updated information in your folder. If you're not able to find it, there's a cover letter with that item, or business manager in your gray folder. Updated information in your gray folder.
So our total cost is going to be $53,050. 1439.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Any questions for the board? Recommendations for alternative one. Authorize the chairman and director to sign a service agreement with Georgia Emergency Management, Homeland Security, implement all those. Motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative one. Second.
Motion by Mr. Roper for alternative one. Second by Mr.
You made the motion, I second.
Second, Mr. Roper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would also like to note that we had our first 6 reimbursement checks received this week in a total of a little over $713,000.
Appreciate all you did to coordinate that when things kind of went a little bit south of some contract. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. We'll move to new business. Item number 1, resolution. Consideration to approve a resolution to levy the 2017 tax.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, that goes back to the resolution for 2017, the total for the county, number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 6, is 30.118, and we request y'all's approval to apply that millage.
30.118. Is there an update that I'm looking at here, 28.3?
No, the 28.3 was the first one until we got the finals from the,
Very good.
you should have an update in your package.
Motion to approve alternative 1 for the millage rate of 30.118.
I make a motion to approve alternative one to approve the county developing a millage on just the unincorporated residents.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. And we have the millage rate set for 2017. Item number 2, consideration to approve the county millage rates certification form, tax for year 2017, PT35.
Yes, sir, this is the form that the tax commissioner, Ms. Linda McDaniel, provides for us. It is part of the state requirement, and simply lists out those millages per the resolution that you just approved. And we ask your approval of that document and for submission and signature.
All right, do I have a motion to approve PT 35 as presented?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And PT 35 is approved. Number 3, consideration to approve the computation of millage rate rollback for the tax year 2016, I'm sorry, PT 32.
Yes, sir. This document is supplied both by the tax assessor and the tax commissioner for review. It does apply the rollback rate and then the actual millage rate that you have applied at the 6.558.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the millage rollback as presented in the PT 32.
Make a motion to approve the millage rollback for BG 32. Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And we have the rollback approved. Item number 4, consideration to approve the proposal and issue a contract for solid waste collection and recycling services. I wonder if we need a brief recess before we... I wouldn't mind talking to you.
We need a executive session tonight, not on this matter, but we need an executive session on another matter, so now we need to get time together.
So I'm going to a recess since we went all this business tonight. I'm going to ask you a question as well. So can I make a motion to go to executive session to discuss personnel communication?
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, property, and litigation.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Keefe, for executive session. Second, Mr. Deloach. All in favor of executive session, say aye. All opposed, no. We're in executive session. Those who need it, this will be our executive session for the evenings. We won't go to executive session later on. So stay with me. This will be a chance for the board to take 5 minute break, different break, what break we need to do.
One second.
Motion to go back to, you ready?
Make a motion to go back to regular session.
Motion by Mr. Deloach to go back into regular session, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor of going back into session, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We're back in executive, back in regular session. We're back to our new agenda, and the first item there is number 5, consideration to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. You have an item that you want to add to the agenda?
Thank you very much. I need a motion to add one item to the agenda. Add settlement agreement between Effingham County and Delaware Incorporated.
I'll make a motion that we add that item to the agenda as new business number 15.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jones to add to the agenda, second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Thank you very much. Now we go to item number 4, consideration to approve a proposal and issue a contract for solid waste collection and recycling services. And we were in the middle of a workshop earlier, so we may have a couple of questions. I think one you going to address the difference that we talked about in the savings. If you turn the microphone on.
Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. After reviewing the fees, Atlantic Waste has come back with a current fee of $15.50 per household. Our current fee is actually $15.54 per household, so they are coming in lower. But they are not lower than Atlantic's new bid, which was $13.85. Sorry, Republic's new bid, which was $13.85. So they're coming in lower than what we are paying currently.
Okay, you said the public's new bid, that was the bid that was with their original proposal?
Yes, sir.
So the Atlantic has come back with a lower price.
Theirs is $15.50, and we're currently paying $15.54.
Can Lennox explain how they came up with a lower price than what was on the original? Cost savings.
The way in which we determined the cost savings is we allocated a fully dedicated spare truck to Effingham County, and after reviewing all of our current operations, what we currently have going on, we currently have 2 spare trucks now, and we felt that allocating a third dedicated spare was not exactly necessary. We have plenty of capacity on our Pooler and Tybee routes. Those guys are getting in, traditionally around 3 o'clock to even sooner. And if we ever had a truck go down, we could then take 6 trucks and put in Effingham County to pick up what 1 truck if it ever went down. Also, the route supervisor, we had a fully dedicated route supervisor that would only stay in Effingham. And so what we've done is allocated him to Pooler and to Effingham. So he's still in the close proximity, so he'll be staying majority of the time in Effingham, but we'll check on Pooler. Pooler's pretty simple. Effingham is, we feel like, going to have to require a little bit more. So we were, spreading out supervision. And then the third major cost savings that was allocated was the personnel in the office. We feel like there doesn't need to be a person in that office, and that was, around $45,000 that we'd allocated for a person in the office, so we took that out. And then some of it was profit. We decided that we needed to be more competitive. We said, hey, we'd like to earn this business. Let's take the opportunity to try to earn it and make it to where it doesn't cost the citizens one dime more. It's actually less per house. And so there is a savings from what you're currently paying. There will be a savings if you choose us.
I certainly appreciate the pricing and the willing to look at the cost savings. I do want to make sure to verify our RFP does permit, Mr. Durant, I guess this for you as well, negotiations on a bid contract for price adjustments. All the negotiations that have gone place are fully appropriate under the RFP.
Yes, it's in the RFP.
It was on page 15.
There that says when we picked, like the final 3 that you go through.
Okay. Just want to make sure that was clear and on the record that was exactly right. So the RFP, the final one, and negotiation. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I just had that question.
I have 2 quick questions I'd like to ask the representative of the public if possible.
Okay. And I do want to address, public come up and let you address that follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to ask, I can't remember the amount of years, did you say 17 years in servicing Effingham County?
20 years, since 1997.
Do you know, one thing I was curious about, and I do not know the answer, I'm just asking, do you know in those 20 years how many times that you've ever had to go have a competitive bid? How many times it's been put out, have you had anybody bid against you?
I've only been representing this contract for 3.
Okay, so you don't know.
I'm not sure. I can't tell you back past 3 years ago.
Okay, and I recognize that you have offered a better price at this point, a reduced price for me.
No, we haven't changed anything in our bid. The price we submitted has not changed.
From what the citizens are paying at this current time.
Yes, in the RFP, we went down $330,000 a year.
Right. That's what I was, is that the first time that you know of that you've done a reduction in price for us?
In the 3 years that I've been covering the contract, yes.
Due to the competitive bidding?
Because the contracts are written to increase annually, and you put it in this RFP too, an automatic increase every year.
We put it in the contract?
Yes. In this RFP, you put it in this RFP.
That gets adjusted. Thank you.
I don't understand what you said. We put in an RFP that there would be an adjustment each year, an increase?
Yeah, the bidders bid with a set 2% increase every year of this contract.
Okay. In the prior years, there was no increase?
I don't believe we bid it out, and that's what I was trying to get to. We've never bid it out before. Was the price always increasing? But we can find that information from staff. I just want to know if you were, if you knew the history.
Can tell you back 3 years, and that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Gentleman from Albany, if you just kind of address the letter we received from Wayne County.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You got to dig hard to find Wayne County because we haven't serviced Wayne County in 2 years. It was a satellite operation that we had that was too far. And we made a big mistake when we started that in 2011. We bought all the existing carts from the previous provider, which was Veolia. We fought that battle for years. Wayne County's on the Altamont River. It's got about 70% dirt roads. We struggled, but we fought our tail off. We were not fired from Wayne County. I don't know who you talked to in Wayne County, but I worked with them very closely. We actually sold that contract to Republic in 2015. It was not even in our references because I provided our current references. Just two other things. This revised, or nobody ever asked us to negotiate a different price. Of course, we're so much lower than everybody else, and I know you're pinching pennies to keep the millage rate, and we're going to save you $3 million in pennies. That's a big number. I think that's very important. We're $2.89 per cart less with our bid than this new price. That's over $3 million.
I don't want to catch up, but that was in the presentation. We appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
That's some good information.
Yes, sir.
When you get a chance to.
We appreciate the opportunity. We really do.
Address it was in our hands because I didn't feel it was fair to not be able to address that with one reference.
I thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
During the recess, the attorney asked, because of the volume of information we have received today, both before this time tonight and during the workshop and now with our vendors, get information there. But we've received a volume of information today. He would like a little time to look at some of the information we received. And so I'm going to recommend and ask for a motion to table this decision for 2 weeks to August 29th. That's a special call meeting for our next meeting.
That's a Tuesday?
That's a Tuesday. We have at 5 o'clock. If I get a motion before I do that, is there going to be any problem in meeting a contract obligation if you award this contract with any of the 3 vendors on that day? It'd still be 60 plus days till the October 31st, which is the day that our contract, the current provider, is terminated.
I'll stand up and speak for myself. Yes, that will be a problem. We have, I've got my truck vendor here and a couple of the cart manufacturers both here, and that is going to make our deadline very tight. You know, it is possible to do it, but it would be better if we, if y'all plan on table it, we would like to maybe push it back to December the 1st to start date, and which I don't know if Republic's willing to do that or not, but it would cause a problem. Sam, would that be a problem for you guys?
No, I agree.
Okay, it would be a problem for you?
Oh, no, I agree with you. Yes,
Okay, all right, yes, it's a problem for he and I.
If we did a special call meeting and Mr. Newberry, would 1 week be enough for you to look at the volumes of information you received? We just don't want to move forward without getting.
I understand.
For next Tuesday? For next Tuesday?
The 22nd instead of the 29th.
That would step it up to just 1 week. Will that work for the ministry here tonight?
I think I can probably manage with 1 week, but 2 weeks is not doable.
Okay.
That works for Mr. Newberry? Okay, now entertain a motion to table this until the August 22nd for a special call meeting at 5 o'clock to address this one agenda item.
I'll make a motion that we table this item until August 22nd for a special call meeting at 5 o'clock to address it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jones to table, second by Mr. Deloach, till August 22nd at 5 o'clock. Please, remember this one agenda item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And I apologize for the king tonight, but with all the wise information received, the information tonight as well. Anything as well as the table, give my attorney the floor. Thank you very much. Item number 5, consideration to approve review the roadside mowing service contract. executive session. At the close of the meeting tonight, after public hearings on zoning, we will have another brief executive session. Not discussing anything that's here tonight, but we will follow up executive session. Just want to be aware. Okay, we're at item number 5, consideration to approve and to renew the roadside mowing service contract. Ms. Fiona.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The county currently has a contract in place for roadside mowing services with the McGrady Company. The contract will expire on December the 31st, 2017, and thereafter, by mutual agreement, it allows for 2 additional 1-year renewals. Amendment 1 combines both renewals and adds a 10% increase. This is the first time since contract inception in 2015 that an increase has been requested. The amendment only changes the duration of the contract by 2 years, from December 31st, 2017 to December 31st, 2019. In addition to the 10% increase, all other terms and conditions remain the same. The amendment has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, and as funding is approved in the budget, staff recommends alternative number 1. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Last year, I thought we changed it last year to where we mow it 4 times. They did it last year, but they did it this year, and I was wondering why, and it's not in our contract. What we okayed and what came up in our, when they sign it over, they do it for 3 times, and then if they need it again, then we pay them to, for another year, but it has to come before us.
Yes, sir.
But I thought we did it last year, that we would do it 4 times because it needed it, especially this year, but he couldn't do it because it's been too wet. He's having a time mowing it 3 times.
I thought, excuse me, I thought we would.
But I thought we okayed it last year to do it 4 times, and according to this contract we did it for 3 years, and then we can get them to do it again if we need to.
Yes, sir. If you'd like me to put it into an agreement that you want them to do it 4 times, I can.
Well, I think it needs it 4 times. I mean, the grass gets waist high in between the cut. This year, he's had a bad time cutting it 3 times.
We can always do it 4 times anyway.
That's
We can
correct.
add that option, yes.
That's additional cost, right?
Yeah, it costs us, but last year I thought we agreed to have it 4 times, for 3 was not enough, and that was.
Just like we're about to right now, we did.
Huh?
Just like we're about to right now, we said, we can always do that, and it's like, let's do that, and they said, yeah. So,
Well, we have budgeted.
Yes, what we had done in the past was we put it in the contract for 3 with the ability to ask for additional cut depending upon what was needed. In the past budgets, we added that additional cut at the same amount of the 3 divided by 3. And in our current budget, we have the funds for 4 cuts. It's just that we have contracted for 3 with what I understood to be almost an option for the 4th if needed.
Well, he can't do it this year, but I thought last year we okayed it, we were gonna have it cut 4 times a year, and according to the old contract, it was 3 times when the chairman signed it. Guess I'm glad we did it. So, but anyway,
And I talked with Jason, and his plans for upcoming years is to add 2 more tractors to the route. So in case excess rain comes again, he won't get so far back up.
if we have the money budgeted and we feel that a fourth is needed, do you want to just go ahead and make that in a motion? Do you want us to add it to the, how's the best way about handling that, in your opinion?
I feel like in May and September, you can almost cover it 2 months instead of every 3 months, like it looks like every 4 months now. Between May and September, you probably look at it twice.
if he doesn't know, if he knows he's gonna do it 4 times, he can space his time up where he can cut it and keep it cut. If he doesn't know it till the last minute, the grass is already knee high, up to your waist in some places.
Right, we just don't want that 4th cut in January or December or
Well,
I think the prior thought was to commit to 3 with the ability to do it 4, but not have to spend those funds if it wasn't needed, was the original thought behind the way that was done.
Correct, but if we now are thinking that we're all in agreement, and I'm not speaking for anybody, we can all say, but if we're all in agreement now that we think we have the funds and we think a fourth has proven to be needed, should we just go ahead and motion that way?
Certainly can.
And should that motion include?
If he wants to be insured, that's the way to insure.
Then he can set his He's not gonna do it 3 times. He waits more time and then in between, the grass is too high.
He needs to plan it ahead of time in his
We need to
schedule.
plan it, and we need to do it 4 times a year.
So do we want him to give a schedule back to us, so those 4 times, we approve the contract for 4 times, with the stipulation he would get back to us with the cutting schedule? 'Cause
I can get the cutting schedule.
But he can schedule it, I mean, he knows when the grass needs cut, but he can schedule it 4 times. If weather permits, it didn't this year anyway.
Okay. So right here, we're not going with it as it is, but a motion would be to make the contract with them with a 10% increase for 4 times a year.
Yes, sir.
Someone make that motion?
I'll make a motion to give him the contract, and, do it 4 times a year with a 10% increase, the amendment for 10% increase.
That's it.
A motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mrs. Jones. The contract, 10% increase for 4 times a year. Caveat, I would like to get propose a schedule so we know it's a high growing season. Not there would be, but I'd like to see that schedule. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Thank you.
Item number 6, consideration to approve a quote and technical service support agreement with
Physio Control. Good afternoon, Wanda McDuffie, EMS Director. What you have before you is a staff report showing the cardiac monitors that we currently have on our ambulances. Every year we have our service agreement where they come out once a year, service our equipment, make sure it's working properly, updating kind of software, give us a discount for any supplies that we may need for those monitors. This has been an ongoing service contract since we purchased the first cardiac monitors back in the mid-'80s. But what I'm asking for this year, they went ahead and gave us a 2 and a 3-year renewal rate, so we can go ahead and lock in a service plan at a price. We won't have to worry about coming back every year with a little increase from year to year. So we have the option of doing a 1-year service contract or a 2 or 3 year. And what they'll do is they'll do an on-site visit once a year to service the monitors. If we have any kind of issues with them, we can just have a 24-hour response time to get those turned in. They'll get it repaired for us.
And save us some money too.
Save us a little bit of money. And we'll lock in so we know we won't have an increase for the next 3 years if we do the 3-year contract.
So you're recommending a 3-year contract with savings, and looking at the percentage of the equipment, about $300,000, something like 2 or 3% per year.
Right.
This contract. Is finance looking to see if that's a better deal than paying it annually? Is the savings substantial enough?
She's right, finance.
Is finance concur that that's a good, to do it 3 years instead of 1 year?
It'll keep us from having to increase if we go ahead and lock in at 3 years to 700 or something.
Sometimes that increase enough, percentage enough that it's better to just keep the money and go with the increase for the time value of the money.
Well, if we do the 3-year now, it's going to save us 700, I think it was 700 something dollars. Let me see.
$736.80.
If we-
I want to make sure finance concurs that it's better to do
Okay.
it long term.
Wesley, I haven't had a chance to look at this one, it wasn't sent to me.
That's okay. It looks reasonable to me. I don't want to put a kink in it for you, Mom. This looks reasonable to me. I just want to see if you.
Okay. I apologize, Joanne, that's what I have, was out.
So, any questions or do I have a motion? All trying to defer.
Make a motion to approve, sign a 3-year service.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second, Mr. Loper, for alternative 3-year contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none. And it carries. Thank you. I didn't even throw a kink in it.
That's okay. And actually what they'll do is we'll just pay a third each year of the contract, so.
Number 7, consideration to approve a memorandum agreement between the Effingham County Board of Education and the Effingham County Board of Commission for emergency medical services provided during high school events.
As y'all know, the high school, when they have the high school football games, they require to have an ambulance on staff. And this is something we've been providing since 1980. Used to be in our slower days that the on-duty ambulances would go cover a football game, but over the last 15, 20 years, they started contracting with the county, or not really contract, but asking to have an off-duty ambulance come in because so many times the ambulance would have to leave and go ride a 911 call. So this would just designate one ambulance at each football game. that they won't leave, they'll be there for the football players who becomes, if they have an injury or what have you. So it's no cost to the county, we just provide the ambulance, and the Board of Education actually pays the medics that, for their time.
So Board of Education's paying for the EMTs and all we do is
Yes,
putting
sir.
out.
All we do is take out one of our spare off-duty trucks that we take out there.
Any questions from the board regarding this item? Do you have a motion for alternative one to approve the MOU for 3 years?
Make a motion to approve order number 1. Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Keefe, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn, appreciate it. Consideration to approve to renew the contract with Taylor Business Services. Ms. Thomas.
Okay, Janice Bevel from the Board of Tax Assessors. This is a contract that we go into with this company who verifies our business personal property, which is equipment, fixtures, and inventory. They have not gone up on their rates in the last several years, so it's the same as it was last year. And the rate is put together according to the value of the business. So anything under $50,000 in value, we do in-house. The current appraiser that does this is not an accountant, so she wouldn't be qualified to travel across the country to do this with our larger companies. And also the savings by going with this company would be they combine all of their businesses and make that one trip, and we share the cost with the other counties in the state of Georgia.
Thank you. Any questions from Mrs. Bell? Recommendation is for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper for alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding between Savannah Industrial Development LLC Omnitrax and Effingham County regarding McCall Road right-of-way improvements. State your name for the record.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Mike Martin. I represent Savannah Industrial Development, LLC. We are petitioning the Commissioners to approve an MOU that we have drafted and submitted for your review to allow us to widen and improve McCall Road from the CSX interchange to Highway 21 as part of providing part of providing and sustaining the initial point of ingress and egress for Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub. And I'd like to, I met with most of the commissioners beforehand to just, to give you a preview of what we were going to be proposing. And I would like to offer one other bit of information that I found out after we had met. And in the DOT's approved concept report for Effingham Parkway, there is on page 4 of that report, there is a statement that McCall Road, quote, McCall Road improvement, Effingham County plans to improve the 2-lane McCall Road from Blue Jay Road to State Route 21 with local funds. This roadway would be resurfaced and widened to 24 feet with 2-foot paved shoulders. So in other words, that was a condition of the approval of the Effingham Parkway. So this is something that the county is going to be required to do by the DOT at some point in the near future as well. So we're stepping up to the plate, volunteering to take on that expense and that burden ourselves.
Excuse me, what did you say you found out in particular?
That's on page 4 of the Georgia DOT approved concept report for Effingham Parkway, dated November 5, 2014.
read the words again? Read the words.
Sure. McCall Road improvement. Effingham County plans to improve the 2-lane McCall Road from Blue Jay Road to State Route 21 with local funds. The roadway should be resurfaced and widened to 24 feet wide with 2-foot paved shoulders.
Appreciate that information. Do you have the conceptual drawing and everything with you that you want to share?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe what that is referring to is Blue Jay Road north to 21 up here in Springfield.
Okay.
I believe it was from Blue Jay.
It is, that's actually part of the park.
Is that, if that's the case, then it would be,
May not be.
it may not be relevant, that's right. It doesn't specify. One of my colleagues in Denver found the quote and I guess he's not aware that.
I knew we had not been informed of that. Thanks for investigating.
So this is just an aerial that shows that section of McCall Road. This is the CSX rail run, and this is Highway 21 right here. And this is the area that we're proposing to improve.
From how many feet to how many feet?
It currently has an 80-foot right-of-way, and I think
It's 22 feet wide currently, the actual paved. I mean, I'm sure it varies a little bit, but the plan is to go in with 3 12-foot lanes, 36 feet. The shoulders are still up as to what we'll do with the shoulders. And also the center turn lane, what does it ultimately become? But at least a minimum of 3 12-foot lanes, so 36 feet total.
Okay.
So if y'all build that part, when the DOT would get to do it other, they just have to run it from Blue Jay to the railroad tracks. It'll be all the way through.
Yes, sir. And a part of that is in front of the school too, which already is
It's
wide
already, yeah.
because it has a dedicated left turn lane at the school.
So that would help their project also.
Yes, sir.
yes.
Very good.
Well, and I'll tell you that my thoughts on this at this particular moment. Again, an MOU, and it's not a binding agreement today, but it's supposed to be us working towards one in good faith. Our current situation, and please anybody come in and correct me or anything that I might be wrong with. The IDA has a contract with this company for development of the IDA track, which is approximately 1,500 acres.
2,600.
Mostly in my district. And they need some type of improved roadway, or if they get away in there and start building without an improved roadway, that would be a good thing. So what we're talking about here is them providing the funds up front to improve an existing roadway. I think that is a beneficial thing for our citizens. And I believe it shows a sidewalk and an improvement of the ballpark that's over there as well.
Yes, ma'am. Included in the MOU is we also propose to, as a way of just mitigating any impact during construction, because we don't think there's going to be any negative impact once the road is completed, other than some additional traffic. But in addition to trying to mitigate that, especially during construction, we've also included in paragraph section 3 of the proposed MOU to add a pedestrian sidewalk on one side of the property. On the south side is where we think it is best suited, and connect it to McCall Park, and refurbish McCall Park in the process as well. And we don't, and we would defer to you with regards to devising what that scope of improvements would entail at the park. It's 2 baseball fields there right now. There's no surface parking, no asphalt or anything of that sort. I guess there's a couple of restrooms there that don't work frequently.
It's a good possibility to have a real nice, decent working park there for the first time.
We could. Yeah. Our thought process was to Yeah, to refurbish those baseball fields and put in whatever other facilities that are needed to make it a first-class facility.
And you were going to provide a sidewalk, and I think we talked about a bike trail, but I'm not sure if it's in here, so I wasn't sure. Is a bike trail in there as well? or no?
No, ma'am, the bike trail, the sidewalk we just envisioned it that you could ride bikes on the sidewalk to get to the park. Or you could make bike paths inside the park. That could certainly be something to be done. Walking trail. As I said, we're not sold on or committed to, it's got to be a baseball field, just because it is a baseball field at the moment. It can be something different if that's what you and the community want. But
Well, I'm going to really tell you my general thoughts on everything as best as I know how. Oftentimes, any board of commissioners, we are here to handle the hand that we've been dealt. In other words, we're here today with what we are. Often all the citizens and the IDA as well. So where we are is we have an industrial park that is done to all industrial. Like that's what it's there for. So it's our job now to try to help be a part of being sure whatever happens there happens in a way that's done that benefits the community as much as possible. So one of our points was we want somebody that is willing to put some money up front. We're not putting money up front because that's been our problem in the past that we've seen. So in this particular instance, it appears we have a developer that is saying we will step up, we will make these necessary road improvements and put some money up front. With all that said, additionally, if at some point in time we don't figure how to make some things happen here, I had a very long meeting with John Henry because I really tried to do my research on this as always. And he quoted a number to me of what it's costing us per day to have nobody there. And I hate to put you on the spot, I just can't remember how much was it per day? $7,000 a day for about 10 years now. So I think that if we can do something positive, we want to be a part of that. And that's all I have to say.
But I might add a couple of things as I looked at it on the tracks as well. Things I like for our constituents to do as we're going forward. This is once just a little to see if we can support. But I see some very positives from that third lane. We did that in Lincoln, put that third lane so that when truck traffic's going down the road, the guy gets distracted and somebody wants to turn left or right, they're not in front of the truck anymore, they're in that center lane. So I see a lot more safety for our residents in that area having that third lane. Now, and the sidewalks are all plus. I would assume that road could be used when we approve this or not for truck traffic. So to hear that you want to improve it for safety of some truck traffic, and I also understand that my conversations, just for the record, that we are still going forward the east-west corridor. We anticipate that will start sometime around the completion of the
Effingham
Parkway, which eventually that's where most of all the truck traffic, they would not even want to come through the area.
Correct.
So this is a temporary use in which we get a chance to have a road built. I would look forward to seeing the specs and the thickness of the asphalt, handle the heavy trucks so that when they are done, that we still have a good road.
Right.
3 years from now, when they're going somewhere else.
We've already started putting together the proposal for it. We've got a pavement designer, Terracon Consultants, who most of you are probably familiar with. They have already offered a proposal to do both pavement cores and cores or hand augers on the shoulders, so that we can get a good idea of what the base material is there now, and also how to improve it for the anticipated loads of the development.
And then also we know that that intersection there is not the best intersection. I know you want DOT to see what requirements we need there, because that's a very awkward left turn. There's no truck going to turn left anyway. They're going to go right.
That's correct.
But if they improved it, it might even be better for our citizens in left turns. So that's a possibility.
When we had a meeting with DOT representative, Brad Saxon, Port of Savannah representative, and the Georgia Department of Economic Development. Those three representatives were in the meeting at the same time, and the DOT representative stated that he thought that any impact or any changes at that intersection would be minimal, because it's already set up as a three-lane road at that intersection. His thoughts were that this would completely be a county project, because our project would stop before we ever got into DOT right-of-way. And so his thought process was that he handed me a section, he handed me the plans for that intersection, and his thoughts were that there wasn't a lot to be done there. Just maybe look at some turning radiuses and, the southbound, but you're right, no truck coming out of there would have a reason to go north on 21. And that's kind of the most awkward elevation transition.
Maybe we're going to go call it to 21.
Yeah.
To the north part, we're going to go left and back to town.
Right.
I don't anticipate trucks going back to town.
So
I see a lot of positives anyway at this point.
So what we would ask is that you approve the MOU, which is non-binding, so that but at least we have a sort of a general agreement of what direction we want to proceed in, and then from this point forward, we need to paper that agreement thoroughly. Obviously, we need to design and submit plans for approval that would meet county specs, and then address the transition of the road once it's complete to county ownership and so forth.
Mr. Lee, have you had a chance to review that MOU? And you believe there's nothing wrong with this if we feel this is a good process to move forward with that support?
Yeah, I've looked at it, just like you stated earlier, it's just an agreement that you'll agree to talk to them later.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
We would like to do it as quickly as possible, just for speed to market.
So if you get it back to us as soon as we'll look at it.
All right. Well, I've already signed it. Just waiting on your desk.
We'll fix the motion on that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the documents.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I heard the board is seeing the park, what it's going to look like, and the three lanes, and the sidewalks, and all the good things that happen at no cost to this constituents around.
That's correct. That's correct.
So do you have a motion to approve the MOU?
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU as presented.
Motion by Mrs. Jones to approve the MOU, second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor of the MOU as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Contracts for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 10, consideration to approve a contract for acquisition of right-of-way between the Georgia Department of Transportation and Effingham County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll recall that representatives from Moreland out to Bell came before you at your last meeting to describe the right-of-way acquisition process that they were involved with. And you also recall contracting with Moreland out to Bell to acquire the right-of-way associated with Effingham Parkway. They informed you that they couldn't get started on the right-of-way acquisition process until the state had completed some of its reviews. That's been done now, and I sent you by email, I think today or yesterday, a copy of the letter we received from Wayne Roberts, the right-of-way manager, indicating that letters have gone out from Duluth to all of the affected property owners. Also, the more important item for your attention is we've received a contract from Georgia Department of Transportation in the amount of $3,070,000 on a reimbursable basis for acquisition of that right of way. So I would ask that you approve that contract with Georgia DOT. It is, I want to emphasize, on a reimbursement basis.
And this is part of our total $44 million grant, right?
Part of the total, yes, sir. It's included.
Yeah, whatever.
It's not over and above.
Exactly. So hopefully it won't cost us that much. Okay.
Did you say that's been received?
I beg your pardon?
Did you say that's been received?
No, it's a contract.
Yes, we have the contract, and it's awaiting your approval so that we can execute it.
I think what it means is they're going to push that 44 million, give it to us a little early so we can over the right of way so our cash flow will be bad. Ultimately, it's still going to cost us $44 million.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
It's just a contract where you get the money a little earlier.
Yeah.
It may or may not be to some right of way acquisitions. So we have approval of alternative one for
Make a
contract.
motion to approve the contract with GDOT for acquisition of right-of-way state aid or federal aid project.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by, I think I heard two, Mr. Deloach. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. and it carries. Okay, thank you. Number 11, policy. Consideration to approve to amend the financial policy of Effingham County.
On several occasions, the board and staff have discussed increasing the ability for professional services. In the last budget, I believe it was requested that we lower this amount, and we did not necessarily know the effect that that was going to have on various services that we need to request. So we're simply asking that this board increase the amount for professional services that the administrator can authorize from $5,000 to $15,000, and that we also add within that in addition, the administrator may review the cost effectiveness of having the work done, and that if a delay would result in a cost to the county offsetting any savings, that we don't necessarily seek competitive pricing. And that has to do with the fact that there are times in which we need to react and react quickly. The limit, therefore, would be going from the $5,000 to the $15,000, and that is so that we can go ahead and go through with several different service contracts that are necessary at this point.
Very good. For those who are present, that we're looking at maybe restructuring, at least for a time, how we provide engineering services.
Correct.
When we had engineering administration, it wasn't necessary to have as much, but our administrator needs more leeway in how to fund current engineering short-term projects. Any questions or discussions?
These are for previously budgeted expenses, right? I mean, it's within the budget.
In some instances, they would be already there and budgeted. We always are looking at that budget to make sure that we have the funds available to pay it. In some instances, they would not necessarily specifically be budgeted, but that we would pull them from a line item within the budget. Yes, sir.
There may be a project that we have to budget, we look at where we want to increase, we'll put it in the line.
Well, currently, we may make a budget amendment. For instance, we had 2 engineering staff. We no longer are paying those salaries, so we may make a budget amendment to change that from personnel to a particular line item and pay for it in that manner.
So it won't be additional budget cost overall.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion for this policy change.
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Motion by Mr. Electric, to offer number 1, second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Any other policy change? Mr. Baker, you have a roll call.
Thank you, that gives me a little relief too. Having an engineer on the staff is problematic.
Number 12, consideration to approve a resolution to adopt fire fees.
Yes, sir. Earlier in the year, we reviewed this with the board as far as our residential fire fees. At that time, staff did suggest and request that we make one additional change, and that is regarding residential multi-structures. At that time, we put forth a schedule of on multifamily structures of anything from 5 to 25 to put that at 500 a year, 25 to 50 at 1,000, 50 to 75 at 1,500, and 100 and over at 2,000. There was some discussion with the board at that time as to raising those rates, and this is for those areas in which there may be apartments or multi-duplexes. And so we had asked for the board's consideration at that point, and seek your consideration again to at least put in some sort of mechanism for residential multifamily.
All of these fees are going to be on the tax bills that go out this year. That's why we have to do it tonight.
That's correct.
Okay. I've got a couple of thoughts that I'd like the board to consider. I know we've had some discussion about it. Currently, it's to me an unbelievable inequity. I know you're trying to rectify it through some of the increases here now. I appreciate that. But I'm going to suggest we be a little more equitable in this capacity. residential units, if you're a single family dwelling, is $90. So if you own a house or you rent a house, you pay $90 for that unit. Whereas a corporation or partnership can come here and build 40, 50 units, and they're still paying $90 today. You would obviously make them pay either $500 or $1,000. And other municipal governments within our county do this, and I believe it'd be wise for us to do as well. If it's a residential unit, it ought to be $90. If it's a duplex, it ought to be $180. If you got 10 units, it ought to be $900. To me, the liability and the cost for fighting a fire in a multi-complex is much more dangerous. If one unit catches on fire, we probably come get another and another. It requires more engines, more response than just the single dwelling. So I see additional costs, not less costs. And yet right now, they have a phenomenal, you can imagine, 40 apartment building getting $90 over the current fire fee is. To me, it would not be too much. For instance, you have a mobile home park, you're paying $90 per unit. You know, just because they're not connected, you're not paying $90 as a whole. You have to do, down the line makes some examples. I would suggest this board consider changing this recommendation to the residential being based on unit times 90, whatever that is. If you build apartments for 10, it'll be 90. If you build apartment duplex, it'll be 180. But to me, to make it equitable for all our citizens, people who own their properties who are paying by the residential unit, apartments are doing the same thing, because they are really harder to fight and more complicated and more costly.
And that's happened in other municipalities? What comparisons did we do? Or was it not?
I have not had time to do comparisons of other units. When we actually compared the overall fire fee for a household, residential, and so forth, I think about a year ago, we were considerably less.
Right. I remember, I think we did a comparison with Cooler and some of the other municipalities, we were quite a bit less.
That's correct.
$9 per unit is a good price. My concern is that we're not charging fairly across the constituents. You know, once again, the multifamily, if you take somebody at 50 units, it's $4,500 to cover 50 units. We know fire trucks are $300,000 to $600,000. All right? That's expensive. We provide an excellent service, and then we have to fund that through other revenue sources. And to me, those who are getting the benefits should be paying for it. And we're making our individual homeowners do it, and our individual property owners do it, and they do it. But we're not doing it with multifamily. So I'd like to see that caveat. And the other one, not to discussion on the industrial side too. I'm not sure that that's high enough as well. The industrial clients, I'm going to look at it another day, but if you're in the industry,
I'd like to speak to that, but I'm not going to.
well, I'm not talking about going tremendously. I'm just saying if you have 25 employees or less, it's $250. In that industry, I know at one time, FSAC, which is not there, they had 20, 25 employees. Can you imagine if fire broke out there and insurance for $250 for fire?
Yes, transport counties. So it's.
Yeah, so to me, if you have 25 less employees, that'll be a lot more than we started at 1,000 or 2,000, 26 or more, maybe 4,000. The industry's doing that out. They know that's a good deal. And I bet Clint can confirm that was a great deal. And all this is additional revenues to help us keep from raising taxes on homeowners. To support the industry. The industry ought to carry their loads. So I would just recommend a $90 per residential. No discussion, comments, and then I'll recommend the industrial 2,500, 2,000. Right now we got 26 and over 2,000. And make 26 and over 4,000.
Pull some comparisons. Pull comparisons and surrounding municipalities.
Yes.
They got this in the, when's your last day to get this on the deal? When you need to know.
She needs to know as soon as possible. Keep in mind, we've already uploaded our information to her, so anything that you do now, she's going to have to add on manually for this year. Next year, we'll have it put in, but we just need to identify, this is for unincorporated only, so we don't have it a couple of big apartment complexes.
I think there was 6 total, if I'm not mistaken, 6 industries that this affected, or at least the multi-family.
Well, we have identified a special call meeting in 1 week.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that,
We have more duplexes than we do anything else, and we can identify those through we can write a report in that we already have.
We should be able to accomplish that by the next meeting.
I would like
do
to
a pool.
have the information of surrounding what other people are doing before we just.
Yeah, because you have to go outside the county for industry, all of these cities have industry.
We'll accomplish that.
There's commercials in all the commercials, between the TKDM out on part of the road. I know in the municipals, we got some commercials, I paid $45,000.
I would point out too that I do know some of the larger industries, you look pretty generously too, or have in the past, I don't know if they have recently.
And they give to the fire department.
And I don't know,
And I know there's another company that did as well, so that's a good argument. I can hear that, see that. So you may want to.
I can understand a residential unit, whether it be a home or an apartment, is a residential unit. I get that.
Do you want to table it or just take a look at the industry, commercial, and residential for future? Because I know you're in a time crunch. Can the board feel comfortable about making the residential equitable across the board? You want to wait a week and get some more research on that as well?
Yes, I remember we were significantly less than the municipalities for residential.
If we can wait the 1 week, let's get the information so that we have something to gauge it by.
Yes, ma'am.
We just have to have the digest approved by September 1. But we need to get to our
Start inputting
vendor,
it.
faster than that.
That's not the issue. The issue is having the time to input all the individual.
Well, I mean, they can go ahead, if it's approved that the $90 will stay for the residential, that will be the majority of the ones that we need to cross-reference.
There's one small handful.
And so, as long as we have a consensus of that 90 on residential, we can get,
If you have that, it's not going to go up.
we can get most of that
But we'll
done.
look at the multifamily.
We already have that in, so that's
That's
not
what I
a
thought.
problem.
Okay, all right.
It would be when we increase the apartments.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to table this to the August 22nd special call meeting.
Make a motion to approve. I'm at a table to the August 22nd, 5 o'clock meeting.
Motion to table, Mr. Lepper, second by Mr. Loach, to the August 22nd meeting in the economic section. Rates for the fire, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. And I appreciate the board's interest in looking at that. Okay, we have a couple items we added to the agenda. One is item 14, consideration to approve to accept a bid from Chris Shea and execute a real estate contract for sale.
Mr. Chairman, you missed the sanitation.
13.
I did. I apologize. You made so many notes in number 12, I didn't have a spot left. All right, thank you. Item number 13, consideration to approve the resolution to adopt 2018 sanitation fees.
Yes, sir. In this particular case, we're asking that the sanitation fees remain the same. It's $200 per year. Additional card is $100 per year. The elderly special school exemption of $100 a year. So in this particular case, these fees would stay the same as prior.
This is based on our current fee of what we're paying.
That's correct. It would cover, I believe based off of what we've seen so far, this would cover what we're currently doing.
Any questions or discussions regarding sanitation fee?
Make a motion to approve order number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Roper to approve offer number 1, second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And sanitation fee, $2,807. Item 14. Consideration to approve to accept a bid from Chris Shea and execute a real estate contract to sell surplus property located at 2720 Highway 21, South map number 4298, parcel 18A.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The board declared the property located at 2720 Highway 21 South, map 429A-18A, as surplus on May the 16th, 2017. The land was put out for sale by sealed bid, which was posted in the usual places, plus in the Atlanta Constitution Journal. One bid was received from Chris Shea in the amount of $40,000. As the bid documents are in order and a check for $4,000 earnest money was received, staff recommend alternative number 1. Any questions?
Do we have any questions for Ms. Bjorn?
This attorney reviewed the sales contract.
It was part of the bid packet, yes, sir, and he reviewed that before.
So alternative 1 is the recommendation for the board to approve accept the bid for Chris Shea for $40,000 and execute this contract.
Make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jones, and I didn't hear you second it. Mr. Keeper is the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it's approved.
Thank you.
Okay. We have another item we added, of necessity, to approve the settlement agreement with Effingham County and Delaware Incorporated. Attorney has reviewed that with us. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Chairman, I'll make a couple of comments before I make the motion, just so that anybody present would understand what we're talking about. Yesterday, I attended a 9.5-hour court order mediation of a lawsuit that was stemming from a due process claim back in all the way to acts that took place in 2007 on a zoning matter in federal court. After much input from the mediator and all the attorneys present, advice from all the legal counsel, one of the issues was insurance does not cover this type of claim. Due to the facts in the case and the great risk exposure to the county that could have been anywhere from $5 to $10 million, I will be making a motion that for a settlement. Let's start my motion at this point. Motion to settle lawsuit styled Delaware versus Effingham County Civil Action number CV 415-259 pending the United States District Court for the Southern District of Georgia, by paying the plaintiff $1,500,000 in exchange for a general release of all claims, including the plaintiff's attorney's fees and costs, and dismissal with prejudice of the lawsuit, to authorize the chairman to execute all documents necessary to memorialize the settlement. That's the motion.
Second.
And a motion by Mrs. Jones to settle the suit. And you've heard the motion. It is seconded by Mr. Loeffler. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. We are hoping that we are settling many of the past issues of our previous board administrations. We only have a few minutes before I believe at 7 o'clock is our zoning hearing. We have time to take administrative report.
I think many of these items are,
We won't rush it. You only have 5 minutes. We have to start at 7 o'clock. So we're going to take a 5-minute restroom break.
I can do it in like 2.
You got 2 minutes. Go.
Want me to go? My items are 7 through 9, or 7 through 10. Can I handle those pretty quickly?
You got 2 minutes?
Go. The recreation park request will be brought to you at your next meeting. Lavender has requested a 30-day extension due to excessive rain, but I don't have it in writing yet. So that'll be at your next meeting. Number 8, the commission has dealt with this proposed closure of 4th Street in Clyde, the railroad crossing, at least twice that I'm aware of historically. They're proposing to give you up to $7,500, they being CSX, and GDOT would match that for another $7,500. So if you're willing to close it, I'll bring this to you at your next meeting, and you can decide whether or not to accept or reject that offer. On the soap dispensers and the other items pertinent to the Georgia Pacific offer of $40,000 plus all of the equipment for all of your parks, all of your dispensers, and 1 year's worth of $16,000 worth of product. I just simply would like to have your consensus that I can work on a more formal agreement to bring to your next meeting between the county and Georgia Pacific. Lastly, is the City of Savannah proposed an intergovernmental agreement, which I mentioned to you. I'd just like to have your consensus that I can notify Mr. Hernandez, the city manager of Savannah, that we're not interested in participating in the proposed intergovernmental agreement for law enforcement services. You'll remember that I've run that by both Sheriff McDuffie and Chief Hodges. And that's it.
Good, we can talk about that. Anybody has any questions on this? You guys are ready to do that, ask questions, maybe they do. All right, so we got 5 minutes before the,
Mr. Chairman, we can go ahead and knock it out so we won't have to go back. If I can run across the few that I have really quickly. The monthly report for the for the prison, you have in your packets. Let you know the IBA board meeting on August 17th at 4 p.m. where they will have a workshop on omnitracks. Parent University is holding a September 23rd session graduation at 9 a.m. They have sent you all an invitation and asked us to RSVP by September 1st. You all got the email about the marker that has been installed at Effingham. There's information in there on that. I received also from Mr. Taylor an invitation for an event being held at the site August 17th at 7 p.m. He wants you all to attend if you are able. And if you recall at the last meeting, we brought to you the ornament request for the governor's mansion, and you all directed me to coordinate that. We have established a date of September 19th. That will be our second meeting in September at 3 p.m. to judge the ornaments that we receive. The deadline to receive those ornaments is September the 15th. So we'll have a judging of the ornaments at 3 p.m. before our meeting, and then we will announce the winner during our meeting on the 19th.
very good. Still want to take about 3 or 4 break. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back at 7 o'clock. Watch your time, about 4 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, we're going to move into our public hearings. First item on the planning board list is public hearing. The planning board recommends approving an application by Joy E. Driggers to rezone 3.68 acres located at 1012 US Highway 80 from AR1 to AR2 to recombine and subdivide with an adjacent property map 302, parcel number 70 in the first district.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mrs. Riggers is wishing to rezone this 3.68 acres. She recently, I believe, inherited a piece of property that's adjacent to hers and is wishing to rezone it AR2 to subdivide a portion of that and recombine the remaining with the existing AR2 lot that it resides on.
Okay, we're going to open a public hearing on this item. You the owner of the property?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to speak?
Just like he said, we're just trying to split it up and trying to get it in coordinates with the current zoning laws.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for this rezoning? Anyone in attendance that would like to speak against this rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on this item.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any questions, discussion from the board of commission? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve based on planning board staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach to approve staff recommendation for item number 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Second reading, consider to approve the second reading of an application Joyce E. Drigger. She's on 3.68 acres located at 1012 US Highway 80 from AR1 to AR2 to recombine and subdivide with an adjacent property map number 302, parcel 7 in the first district. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries. All right, we'll open the public hearing on item number 3. Planning Board recommends approving an application by Michael Maddox for a variance to the minimum dwelling size located on Zittrier Road, zone R2, map number 352G, parcel 59 in the first district. Mr. Arcidi.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Maddox is the owner and developer of Greenbridge Farms located off of Zittrier Road. He developed it as a kind of green community. It has private roads that are gravel roads within that community garden area. Mr. Maddox expressed some interest in possibly placing tiny houses within a lot and has an interest in buyer to do that. However, our current minimum dwelling size is 525 square feet. Mr. Maddox is requesting a variance to that minimum dwelling size. Staff and the planning board have recommended approval. The current international building code that will be adopted for 2018, they recently adopted a tiny house appendix. Our local ordinance, we follow Georgia DCA's adoption of the state code, which currently is 2012. So it's eventually likely to come down the road in the future when the state would adopt the 2018 code that this appendix would be part of it. This is an opportunity, trends, I've had other interests in tiny homes being placed throughout the county, which stopped at the minimum 525 square feet. People are requesting smaller than this in a tiny home. I think this would be an opportunity as a test market, so to speak, to permit it and see how it does in the event that the 2018 code would be adopted by the state. We could then look at creating a particular zoning district that would allow these smaller homes in them in the future.
You said when the 2018 code comes out, we have to adopt that?
When the state would adopt the 2018 code, our local ordinance, we follow what the state adopts.
So we're on 12.
And we're currently on the 2012 code.
And that 2012 states the small size would be what?
There's no minimum. There's a minimum size per bathroom, kitchen, specific rooms. Our zoning ordinance has a minimum dwelling size of 525 square feet.
Currently?
Yes, sir. Outside of the building code.
It doesn't meet our requirements, it's way up for area.
Right, so what would be, I know it's a variance, but variance to what? It's 525 now, what are we talking about?
He's wanting less than that.
What's less than that? Okay, I guess that's.
It's a variance to
Yeah, I was
what
looking
code?
too, I didn't see.
It's a variance to what code? That's what he asked me.
Yeah, you got 525, so you going down to 300, 200?
I don't think he has one case of, he has
Okay,
specific.
we have some questions on it, we'll let those who want to speak forward in this public hearing, you have to go ahead and identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm here with my wife and another member of the community. Yeah, these are called tiny houses. They're quite popular in certain parts of the country. When I built the subdivision in 2008, I recorded it as an experimental subdivision. I think I'm the only developer in Effingham that utilized that code. And it's supposed to give me some latitude on what kind of houses I put in. Right now, what I'm leaning toward is very energy efficient houses. Well, one of my community members lives in a house that is what they call a net zero energy house, which means it produces more energy than it utilizes. And so we're kind of they call them agri-hoods in other parts of the country. Instead of a golf course in the middle, there's a working organic farm, and I'm the farmer. and the developer. So it's kind of a niche market, but we're building very energy efficient houses. We have a food source on site. And the tiny houses are not only easier to manage. The woman who wants to buy a lot and put a tiny house on it came down yesterday from Ohio, and she works out of state. Well, she works on the road a lot, and she wants to be able to come back to a home that's easy to maintain, very easy to heat and cool, very low energy costs. And these houses are really built, the interiors are built like yachts. They're very well appointed, usually energy on demand, hot water heaters, and very space efficient. So even though they're small, they're very luxurious. So this isn't really, this isn't hard living, and this isn't, you know, economic necessity. These are choices. The woman sold a 4,000 square foot house and wanted to size down. And they're really quite popular. If you get on the internet, you type in tiny house, that there's just hundreds of thousands of people.
On HGTV.
Yeah.
You know, HGTV come to Effingham.
Yeah. They're here to stay, and I would. I think that the fact that we are an experimental subdivision, I'm only asking permission to put 4 of them up. If the county, for whatever reason, decides this is not the direction you want to go, you could stop at my place and just say that, well, he was an exception because he recorded his subdivision as an experimental subdivision, which gave him some latitude. It might be that you...
Somewhere, excuse me.
That's special zoning, yeah.
Do we have that?
It's a very...
Have you researched?
We have it in our subdivision regulations. There's an experimental development section that gives the board latitude as far as amending or bending the current regulations.
And this is under that?
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I'm the only person that utilized
I
that.
believe the reason that his was guided for this direction was he wanted to do a gravel road within the subdivision. It doesn't meet our current specs. So previous administrator left it down that route.
Yes, Sammy, the big road in his subdivision, you had just rock road.
Just privately, you maintain that road?
Yeah, we own it. The HOA owns the roads, and we maintain it ourselves. And I mow all the ditches myself.
What governs construction? What codes? It wouldn't be, it couldn't fall under building codes would address.
Well, there's several different types of tiny homes. There's tiny homes on wheels, which
For here, how would we have, what, it wouldn't follow typical building homes or?
after some conversation with building official Jimmy Parr,
Yes.
he stated that for him to issue a permit for something built on a foundation, it would still need to be minimum life safety codes as far as ingress, egress windows, railings, that type of thing. And Jimmy said if it met all that, whatever plans he submitted, he had no issue issuing a permit as long as it's met the minimum code.
And these are on permanent foundations?
She is willing to put it on a foundation if that would make everybody more comfortable. Generally speaking, they like the latitude or luxury of being able to move it. If she decided she wanted to sell the lot, she could take the house with her. But she did tell me that if it made you more comfortable, she would put it on a foundation.
That type of thing's pretty major difference as far as knowing what we're going to approve, whether it technically is a mobile home or a permanent home.
I don't believe that there are any HUD-approved tiny homes, to my knowledge, right now, which is whose stamp of approval and who regulates the mobile home industry. Most of the tiny homes that Mr. Maddox, as far as them being on wheels, there is a RVIA association, I believe it is, which is a recreational vehicle organization that regulates the RV builders in the country.
Excuse me for interrupting, but the houses are built to very strict standards, and they're built to international construction standards. everything.
Is it a home, is it an RV, is it a mobile home, what standard?
Yes, it's registered as an RV, but they are being recognized by the IRC as permanent primary dwellings.
Let me ask you this, it's not my district, I just want to ask this question. What is your, do you have a time sensitivity because this is fairly different? And if we needed a little extra time to maybe get with you further and try to figure out under what permitting and under what codes and under what verifying the work, everything.
Even zoning, because I wonder if there should be a special zoning for tiny house subdivisions.
It's a new concept.
Well, that's one of the things, when I built the subdivision, there were a lot of new things that I, brought out. And this isn't your mother's subdivision or whatever. There are innovations taking place. And I understand this is a lot to swallow, but really,
but we may need time to just make some codes that help it qualify. That's what we're trying to figure out. Are you on a time-sensitive nature, or is if we table this for a couple of weeks to give us some time to figure out?
No, I think I don't think my buyer is going to bolt until she gets a firm no.
Okay.
The planning board unanimously passed it, and I had to explain to them what it was.
But then we have to worry about the details of being sure that we're having it inspected properly and things like that. So
Yeah, because I can see someone else may not do it to the standard that you're saying that we don't have those standards and codes and things in place to protect our community.
Well, I would make sure that if you decided to allow these in some subdivision that wasn't an experimental subdivision, which you don't have any of those now, but if you did want to, I would make sure that they were registered by REVA. They were, registered by that standard, and it's an international building standard.
and all those are things we need time to research. And I apologize if I never even knew there was such a thing here as an experimental subdivision. I should know that, but I did not. It's never.
Well, I'm the only one.
When did you have to get that zoned? Like, when was that done?
2008.
Okay.
Yes, Greenbridge Farms down in South Effingham on Zitrower Road.
So here's we table this to the next.
Yeah, that also has time to tell us how the codes would be enforced.
Can we get some ideas of the square footage we're talking about as well?
They vary. They go anywhere. The way this works is anywhere from 80 feet to 300 square feet. And then when they get up to 400 square feet, they're called park models. Yeah, and then after 700 feet, they become modular houses.
I can say for my own personal, one day I may need to be in a granny pod. So this is something similar to that.
Well, let me tell you, I didn't want to give you too much more information because I know you've swallowed a lot already. But this particular woman plans to live in the tiny house and build a house for her dad on site, and join the two to where they're just one dwelling. Now, that's kind of like backward what most people. She'll be living in the mother-in-law suite. But I would rather you not consider that as a contingency for allowing the tiny houses. But I would imagine that most tiny house dwellers plan to add on. Most of the people I've talked to that are building these or buying them would, use that to get out on a piece of property cheap and then maybe build on later. But there's some people that are perfectly happy with living in houses this big and raising families in them. Not everybody wants a 30-year mortgage.
I asked Janice a minute ago, how this would be looked at on the tax side. They would be tagged like a mobile home.
Yeah, the ones that we get, we only have one right now in the county, and it was only here temporarily and was moving on. So.
Well, and all those things would specify based on are we going to leave a mobile or is he going to put on foundation? Because foundation, it can be taxed from the house. If it stays mobile, then it's going to have to be taxed like something mobile.
Well, can't you do a specific to my community tax exemption and just say that on this community, this so-called mobile unit is a taxable fixable item?
We could do that.
With it being an experimental subdivision, there may be some ways it makes sense to try to figure out how to make something workable there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make a living, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, reinvent the wheel. I'm responding
You
to,
don't want to set up a situation where somebody goes and builds or drags up the portable shed and says, hey, this is a...
well, I think one thing you're missing here is I'm the onlyest one. You know, I'm the only experimental subdivision, and everything can start and stop here. And you can say, okay, we're not going to allow any more experimental subdivisions because we don't want any more tiny houses. Your risk here is minimal, and the reward is more taxpayers. What's wrong with that?
That's a good point. That's something we want to still verify, make sure. I'll even tell my wife when we move in a tiny house, when we travel.
Well, I will make one point to you about what's wrong with that as far as, one thing is depending upon the tax. You know, typically I would think that most people are not going to be raising children in a tiny house for the most part.
You'd be surprised.
However, if they are, if they're going to be in the school system, the tax on that would never pay for it. So that would be an issue.
Well, do you tax by value? This house cost the lady $80,000.
Yes, I understand.
So,
$100,000 house for the school tax, but that's somewhat.
there's people that live on my road in campers that aren't very nice, not as good as this.
Yeah, I would probably make an argument for you there that it's a higher value than mobile homes. They have a lot of kids in their schools, so I think positive value.
Well,
and I toured one that they demonstrated not too long ago, and it was about $67,000 price tag. I thought, wow.
well, you know, the reason, and I don't want to eat up too much of your time, but it's, you know, I designed and built my own house, and the thing that's counterintuitive about house price per square feet is you can build a 4,000 square foot house for $50 a square foot because there's a lot of useless and you know, cheap space. You got a big bedroom or a big bathroom, everything big. Well, when you get that smaller and smaller and smaller, you still have to have a bathroom, you still have to have a kitchen. So you're going from $50 a square foot to $200 to $300 to $400. So, you know, it's not really about saving money so much as the people that are coming to my place are interested in reducing their carbon footprint. And they want to, you know, look at it from an environmental point of view. That's the angle of my subdivision. But there's also people that simply don't like to do housework. And, you know, yeah, that lady right there. Well, you know, I've got 4 more lots for sale. This might be the place for you.
I like the concept.
Yeah. But just don't, you know, have an open mind. This is, I'm not, you know, this is not a hippie commune, and we're not, you know, out there doing crazy stuff. And
I appreciate the innovators. In order to not another public hearing, probably need to complete the public hearing before we table it. So is there anyone else that wants to speak to?
There's another fellow here.
Okay.
Are you through with me? Okay, thanks.
You can hang around.
I will be.
You state your name for the record, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, my name is Nick Mueller. My wife and I own the property across from the proposed. Thank you. Been in front of you all before. Thank you very much. But we have no problem with, we own the property across the road from this proposed lot. We actually, my mom lives there. We bought it so she could move out into a safer, better community. We're very pleased with the upkeep of the community. That Mr. Maddox and his wife take great care of the roads. The ditches are maintained. They're a little high right now because of the water. We've all been dealing with that. But it's a very well-maintained area. The neighbors are, in general, you know, very responsible, keeping themselves, and we don't have any problem with the proposal and actually would encourage it. We think it's a great idea. So, thank you very much.
Anyone else want to speak for? Anyone here that would like to speak against? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. So is there any questions or discussions, or we'll move the table to get more information?
Yeah, we need to table that RC get some more information and get with Janice. Figure out how we're going to handle this, what standards we want to.
I'll give it to you.
Okay, give it to Jimmy. To the second meeting,
September.
Mr. Floyd, you have made it the next, second meeting, the first meeting in September.
You have,
You-
well, that's 3 weeks in.
Well, it is 3 weeks, so that would get
That
good.
be enough time?
Yes, sir.
Let's schedule meeting. You said the second, if possible.
But we got, it gives you 3 weeks. He says.
You're good to do the first one.
We've had the global hearing, so we
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be September 5th, I believe, is that right? On the calendar. What's that mean?
September
Yeah.
5th?
September 5th.
Motion, Mr. Floyd, to table to September 5th meeting, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, by Mrs. Jones. All in favor of tabling, say aye. All opposed, no. And we'll get some additional information, if you plan to get back with us, we'll look at it. So we going to do second reading, I assume that tonight. Move to the next item. Item number 5 on the public hearing, planning board recommends approving the application by Tim Edfield to rezone 3.74 acres located at 449 East Road from AR1 to AR2, map 396, parcel 23 in the second district.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Edenfield requesting to rezone this from AR1 to AR2 in order to subdivide it into some residential lots. There is county water available, I believe, in Tennessee tonight. County water would be on the septic system. Staff and planning board recommend approval.
Okay. See? You said your name for the record there?
Tim Edenfield. RC pretty much said everything I gotta say.
Okay. Anyone here want to speak for this? Anyone want to speak against this rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions or discussion from the board? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve with planning board and staff recommendation. Everybody say.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by everybody. I think Mr. Woods got it first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Thank you. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Tim Edfield to rezone 3.74 acres located at 449 East Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 396, parcel number 23 in the second district. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the second reading with all things being the same.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the second reading is approved. Item number 7. The planning board recommends approving an application by Reed Brennan to amend the PD master plan in text for Staffordshire Estates located off Blue Jay Road to increase the number of lots from 155 to 184. Located in map number 415, parcel number 10 in the second district.
Excuse me, Chairman, did you just read that the planning board recommended?
I thought I just read what it said here.
That's what it says here.
It says planning board recommends.
Okay, I believe it is. Is it planning board recommended?
Mr. Chairman, that should have been denied.
Your recommendation is that.
Okay. All right. What we said on the public hearing, that the planning board is recommended to deny, but the staff is recommended to approve. Is that correct?
Staff had recommended approving.
But the planning board recommended.
Yeah. planning
It
board-
was wrong on your sheet.
Yeah, gotcha. So we'll make a note that the planning board has, which is one of the questions I had to ask why they denied it when it gets to that point. Mr. RC, if you go ahead and brief us on this one, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Brennan is requesting a PD amendment to increase the number of lots permitted in the Staffordshire development located off of Blue Jay Road. He has previously come before y'all with this request a few months back, and it was brought to the attention of the board how severe some existing drainage issues are in the development. Since that time, staff and a commissioner had met with Mr. Brennan, and were with the understanding that if this were to come back before the board, Mr. Brennan would address these drainage issues at the time when he would submit engineered plans to the county. Once they would be approved, the final plat would only be approved by you all if the drainage issues were remedied. And that was my recommendation to the planning board.
I'll add on a couple of things here. It was initially put on our first agenda as a zoning matter. And then we tabled it, denied it, tabled it.
It was denied.
But denied. So then when we met, one of the concerns was when you deny a zoning matter that takes 6 months before they can bring it back. But upon some research, this is not a zoning, this is a PUD amendment, which doesn't require that 6-month law. So that was one of the things that enabled you to be back tonight rather than 6 months from now, was part of that work. Also, when we met with some representatives from EOM, Hussey Day and Bill, Mr. Brown, and we were looking for solutions. That's the bottom line, is to get the subdivision to not flood in order to move forward. So here is where we are tonight.
Is that why the planning board denied it? What was the reason for the planning board denied it?
When this item was initially brought before planning board and you all, planning board recommended approving it at that time. They were under agreement that it was okay for Mr. Brennan to address these drainage issues at the time of construction plans being submitted. Once it was denied by y'all and he had brought it back before the planning board, they weren't satisfied that any action had taken place addressing the flooding issues. That was the reason of denial.
And I believe they had not seen any of the video or
Correct.
pictures, and the citizens came to the planning board the next time and showed their serious concerns of the pictures of what's taking place.
Yes, ma'am.
So they denied it for the same concerns that Ms. Jones lifting now, the drainage issues.
Yes, sir.
Are you Mr. Brennan?
I am.
Okay. All right.
That's the history, so feel free.
Mr. Brennan, go ahead and restate your name for the record.
My name is Reed Brennan. Not to be redundant, but again, just kind of verify. It was brought before the planning board. Planning board approved it. At the planning board meeting, the head of the planning board addressed the concerns. One of the statements was that that platform was not the place to address drainage issues. I was simply requesting a text amendment. It then came here. Unfortunately, I was out of town and did not attend that meeting where it was denied for the same issues that were brought up at the planning board meeting. I do believe there was additional residents of the neighborhood as well as some pictures and PowerPoints and whatnot. As RC stated, we've met with RC, TOS, Vera engineers, our engineers as well, and ultimately there are several issues at play that are causing these issues, the drainage issues when we have bad weather and storms. One of which is a downstream blockage that the county's been aware of for quite some time, tried to address over and over again. Beavers and other things that are clogging up the drainage. It is not just us, it is adjacent properties downstream as well. And essentially what we've determined is that there's no way for us to 100% solve the drainage issue within the subdivision until that has had a permanent fix. There are things that we can do within the subdivision to help assist this, but until that's resolved, it's not possible for us to solve the problem inside the neighborhood.
Let me interrupt you in one spot and I'll let you continue, okay, just to catch up about beaver dams and all. And I will say this, I have spent a lot of personal hours trying to be helpful in whatever way I could so that we could, the first goal is to get the flooding in the subdivision resolved, period. That's the goal. And then if that occurs, certainly I personally would have no problem in approving additional home sites. But when the citizens come and they show us something that we were completely really unaware of until that time, was the amount and level of seriousness of flooding. Surely you want the same as we do, to be a partner in figuring out how to have the subdivision not flood. Because no matter how many houses you get approved in there, nobody's going to want to buy them, road to flood. So, with that being the case, that's why EOM was present as well. We were talking about there was a problem with some beaver dams. We were pricing with EOM to go remove not only the dams, but also, I think it's something like 5 dams, 13 beavers, or maybe it was 13 beavers, whatever. But we were getting a price from them to pay them to go out there and take care of that. In the meantime, I believe Joanna Wright from the finance department ended up, someone talked to people at, was it the Power Company or, where was it that they actually did the work for us because they were having a problem? We had all the beaver dams and all the beavers also trapped.
You talked to ECB about some beaver dams, was it related to this?
It was them.
Yes,
Yep.
Okay.
And ECB took care of it. They had people go out there in boots by hand and actually, move the beavers so that doesn't happen anymore. And since that time, it has indeed helped in there. However, I was told that as recent as like a week ago, it's still flooded. And I sympathize with any problem he's having. If he's saying there's somewhere else downstream in Effingham County that's causing it. However, if that's the case, we really have to prove that. Like, I need some type of engineering to show me that's the problem is somewhere else. I will say I had a moment to speak to one of the engineers at Husky Gaynell that's here tonight that said there is possibly some further investigation within the subdivision where there may be 2 pipes downstream in the subdivision that aren't meeting, and that needs to be looked at. The primary goal for me is getting a solution before we make the approval.
So in regards to that, I have a memorandum from Husky Gaynell. The beaver dam is not my opinion, it's what they're finding, is that it's not 100% resolved. Until it's 100% resolved, and we take action within the subdivision, that it will not be solved.
What day were they saying the beaver dam is not resolved?
This is as of August 11th, 2017.
June 6th. June 6th was the day of staff meeting.
Well, it's happened, it's been resolved since that time.
So the beaver situation downstream has been 100% resolved?
That's what we've been informed of, but it's something like 13 and 5.
But you said a couple last week, there was some more flooding still.
I mean, this has been an ongoing issue with removing them, they come back, removing them, they come back. The design and overall drainage system for the project was in accordance with the requirements, and that design was approved by County Commission, which is what's installed. There are some other things within the subdivision that Husky Gaynell is, to Vera's point, in regards to adding additional pipes with the future construction to connect one pond to another to kind of be redundant in its drainage system. But those things can't happen without us adding to it and putting them in with the future phases. So it's 2 things. It's fixing the beaver dam permanently, the beaver situation downflow stream, and then as we build out the next phases, adding these pipes, and CJ can speak more clearly on this, but making changes inside the subdivision. We can't fix it permanently without doing any more work and continue to move forward. Again, we're asking for a text amendment, not an approval to a drainage plan. These are things that have to come as we move forward.
So how do we oversee and ensure that with the added surface and permanent surfaces, when we put those extra housing,
Let me
then we want to add more water
Let me say
to the
this. This is
subdivision?
the problem with, I understand you're requesting a text amendment for an additional number of houses higher than what you already have approval for. And of course, everybody understands additional rooftops create additional drainage problems. So that's why we have a problem approving that text until we solve an existing problem that's there for the current residents. So that's what we're trying to help figure out.
Right, but we can't.
And we have taken steps on our side for what we're aware of, county-wise, that you're bringing out, to mitigate and fix those things. And I don't know if you're telling me if there's pipe inside your subdivision that's not meeting properly, you can't address that until you.
Well, that was
No, one of the recommendations was to add additional pipes for redundancy and flow from one pond to
That's where
another.
my question is going, is that, I understand what John's saying, we got certain houses now that's flooding, and we'd like to know that's resolved before we move forward. You're saying that won't be resolved unless additional construction will require you to come back in and address that drainage. I'm asking, how will we know that design that you do would do the additional work that would take care of the current housing, plus the additional housing, so we would have a better situation, not worse when you're done?
That might be something CJ can answer more specifically. Again, in regards to the downstream beaver issue, I realize they went out there recently, but they've done that numerous times over the past 12 months, and it's just something that keeps coming back.
But they did not catch, trap, and remove the beavers and they now have, unless they're lying, okay? I've been told they have now trapped and caught and removed the beavers, and they never did that in the past. That's the difference. The beavers just keep building dams if you leave them there, so.
And so to that point, that's been resolved. There was some flooding last week. So my question there again is, how will we know that this design, if we approved the text format more, that it would be better for our current residents as well as the new ones? What assurances are we going to have?
I don't,
You just happen to be here tonight.
I did, but I do have, I think I have some information that's valuable, and I did read.
For this,
One of my colleagues is actually working with Mr. Brennan on this particular development, and we go back with the history as well. I mean, we work with the county on dedicated spray field and spray areas for this subdivision, 07 maybe. So, I mean, we do have some history, and I think it's important to note that the pond towards the west was not even touched in the original design. I mean, that was a pond that was there. It was an existing pond. One of my colleagues, Mr. Hal Kraft, who's been practicing engineering for over 30 years, and I know Commissioner Floyd knows Mr. Kraft and who he is. He's been in Savannah practicing for 35 years. He's one of the most respected. So I probably wouldn't come up and bat for anybody, but I've worked with him long enough. And there are a few things that he noticed when he was on a site visit on June 6, 2017. He actually went on site with two former employees, Mr. Allen and Mr. Sherrod. And some of the things that he noticed are indicative of downstream conditions. And I do hear Commissioner Jones say that since June 6, that issue may have been resolved. One of those issues is the outfall pipe was 12 inches underwater, which that indicates that there's something happening downstream that's backing water up into the outfall. The second thing that he noticed was that when he gathered information about where the flooding issues happen, they seem to happen more towards the west side of the subdivision than the east side of the subdivision. What is interesting is that he estimated more than 2/3 of the issues were associated with one pond. They have one pipe that connects them. Perhaps there is an issue with that pipe. Could that issue be resolved now? Certainly it could. I'm not saying it couldn't, but at the same time, could it also be resolved in the design? To answer the chairman's question, how would we know? Well, I think you would know the same way that you know with any development. I mean, it still has to go through a design review process, and then the county has to approve that. Furthermore, it has to come to you for final approval on the plat, for the plat to be recorded, and at which time you will have a warranty bond placed, and that bond will last for 12 months still. And so there are leverage items that you have there.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
I have to save some time and I don't mind, okay? Because I understand, we got a group of citizens back there that came here previously and showed us pictures. They're prepared to do the same again. And if you see the pictures, it's obvious that we have to figure out a solution to the problem. We don't in any way want to hamper the solution. We want to enable the solution. But we also want to protect whatever situation that we're under of not making it worse. And if indeed what we're moving towards not approving more houses will just, not solve the problem. So if I want to understand if I'm being told this, because I'm told in one way, this is why the planning board did not make a recommendation, but there's a safeguard in place. And this is what I want to understand. If the true safeguard is in place, that you're saying, you need an approval tonight for this.
Right.
So that you can get to the next step. But he can't build anything, okay, until he comes back to us. And then you show us in that design, this is going to work, and here's why, and he's going to have to do this, and it's going to have inspections done upon it. And
The only catch is I'm not sure that once a PD has been amended and once he makes the text amendment, if it's in a PD, I don't think that it has to come back before the commission. It just has to go through, in the past, it has to go through staff. Now, what you do in the state that you're in now, I don't know.
yeah, I think it is.
That's a correct statement. If you were to approve this text amendment, the next step from Brennan would be submitting engineered plans to staff for review.
And then it'll get to staff to approve or deny.
Yes.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so on a legal question, because that's our typical policy, because we have an additional situation here, would it be in any way a legal problem if we added to that in this particular case, because part of the reason we would be approving this at all would be to solve the flooding problem, that it has to come back before the board of commissioners, and we have to be, feel certain from engineers and others that this will take care of the problem before he can get that approval. There's another step after this in which we can help control that.
Yeah, I would say add it as a condition. I'm sure they're going to agree to that tonight, I would imagine.
Yeah, if I can comment on that, I've already agreed to that. I mean, that was part of our discussion, that I fully understand that we cannot continue to move forward from one step to another, and then, of course, the final plat approval, unless everything has been approved.
I didn't know that you agreed to that. I'm saying it in a manner, I'm
Oh, sure.
saying it to see if these citizens that feel like they haven't seen any forward progress would recognize and feel some type of comfort level that you still will not be able to do it unless you come forward with this engineering that shows that it's going to happen.
Right, and keep in mind of the substantial amount of investment that's going to be made along the way that I would end up sitting on if it wasn't taken care of the way you guys approved everything. So getting final plat approval once everything's done and this thing working in the way that there is no flooding is going to be of the utmost importance to me to get that final plat approval.
What's involved in verifying right this minute if that pipe, whatever pipe that could be an issue inside, I mean, what's involved in verifying that or not right this minute?
Again, Commissioner Jones, I'm sorry, I've rushed to get up to speed on this. As far as flooding issues last week, I know in particular last Wednesday, we had a pretty severe storm. I had, on one of my job sites, I had 4.5 inches of rain in 45 minutes. And if you equate that to a storm, that is more than a 200-year storm in intensity. And so there are times where storms happen where it's only 4.5 inches of rain, you don't think it should flood, but it does because of the intensity. So that could have been the issue there. Now, what happens now? I mean, there could be some storm modeling to do to verify. It could be investigating that pipe to see if it is full of dirt.
I don't know how to figure out is there a place to dig down and check that pipe?
Yeah, there is. The problem is there's water there too. So it depends on how much of that do you want to pump down. Do you want to, it's not cheap.
Let me ask you this, is there any temporary solution to pumping, to doing something to prevent the roads from flooding? Okay, and this is what I'm saying is that I've spent the time, we developed subdivisions. If our subdivisions were flooding, I would feel like I had to find a solution quickly to stop that, okay? And so, I talked to subcontractors, and one recommendation that was made, just a general question, if this is occurring, would be something that they do in pits. When they're going to dig a pit for 15 years. They get a pump, and they keep it from flooding, they get the water out of there, okay? So I would recommend that something like that could be done in an effective way, in a very cost-effective, it might need a back wall.
Might be a better solution, and just from my experience, you can pump a pond down, but you can't pump the storm. Does that make sense? All right, so I think what the better solution is perhaps to require Mr. Brennan to study the connection between the two ponds. If it is in fact, and there are citizens here, and maybe with a quick yes, that is correct, that most of the flooding is happening on the west side, then perhaps there could be a quick model done to see what kind of pipe could be put in now. While he's doing the design, he go ahead and put that pipe in while he's got the rest of the project under design. I think Mr. Brennan doesn't want to do anything until he gets the PD amendment, but that could be a condition that you place on it. Go ahead and do something to equalize these ponds, because the 18-inch pipe isn't working.
That's what they want. They want us to see something now. I think that's reasonable.
And that could be done while the design's going on and it's going through staff to get approved for the rest of the development and construction's happening.
Okay, that's a positive.
I would also ask staff to acknowledge the potential issues that the downstream backup has potentially caused with these things that we might be fixing now, just as a note.
If there is something more that we need to research engineering wise, we will have that, we will, absolutely.
Yeah, we will, but if it's downstream issues, we still have to be resolved, and we can't go on private property and resolve those issues. We still only faced with protecting our citizens.
Well, I was unaware of what Ms. Jones pointed out earlier, which they apparently have been taken care of recently, but So we would obviously have to go downstream. I mean, there has been permission granted by several private property owners to access them from time to time for the same issue in the past.
Yeah, I want to get a more long-term solution too for that, because we can't always go to the graces of ECP or citizens. Let's go and do, BO work.
Sure.
And be at mercy. Okay. Any comments? Anyone want to speak for this rezoning? Not rezoning, but this text amendment. Okay. Still in public hearing, anyone want to speak against? Okay, you come one at a time and catch your name.
Good evening. My name is Kerry Roberts. That's me up there on that northern edge of the lagoon.
What's the property at?
131. It's on the aqueduct
Okay.
there at the end of the cul-de-sac. Kind of sounds like the developer wants you to pass this amendment before you know what's in it, kind of thing. You know, that's what it kind of sounds like to me. Let's pass it, and then we'll get to the issue once it's passed. So I don't believe that's the way this should work. And beavers may have been a problem in the past. I can't speak to them. But he said something about one of the issues is maybe the pipes are clogged. Maybe there's dirt in the pipes that's keeping it from flowing properly. Well, if you travel down Aqueduct, I'm not sure if the county has an ordinance against erosion control or not, but I can guarantee if you were to go down Aqueduct Drive right now, there's mud and dirt all over the road from the home sites that are being built right now. When it rains, all that mud and whatever gets into the roadway, gets into the sewer pipes, and I'm pretty sure that if there is an erosion control ordinance in the county, that probably violates that. So it might be a good idea to do something to prevent the erosion that's going on in these home builds from getting onto Aqueduct Drive. I've got a daughter that attends South Effingham. She has to walk to the bus stop up towards, well, right now it's they just moved it to the pool house, which is a lot closer than it used to be. But when that road floods, she can't even walk on the sidewalk without having to wade through water just to get to the school bus to go to high school first thing in the morning. And so I have some concerns about that as well. But I just wanted you to think about that as you make your decision this evening. I thank you for your time.
One of the things I would say too about that, you have to approve it before you know what's in it. That's what we're trying to protect against by seeing, is there a level of approval that we should consider to get to that point of engineering to know if there's a fix that we can't do without that engineering.
Because then there's another place of approval before we can ever do
As long as
anything.
we have the right to say no at that point, if we don't see our citizens protected. So we're trying to make sure that there's a stop gap between proceed, but we may not in the finality approve the plat.
And I thank you for that consideration.
I can tell you one thing, I don't vote on anything I don't read.
Thank you.
Not like Nancy Pelosi.
We're going to read it. Yes, sir. State your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Ryan Franz. My family and I, we live at 103 Aqueduct, which is on the left, just as you turn down the road. I've been here and spoke before. Excuse me, I'm going to refer to this just for some notes that I made from some things that I was hearing. I guess from my point of view, I've had a job previously where I worked, where we built a ethanol refinery from the ground up. I've worked with a lot of civil engineers. I understand a lot of the concepts and things, and I understood a lot of things that were spoken about today. While I certainly understand that he's not responsible for the issue with the beaver dam, that has to be, I guess, confirmed that that's been resolved. To me, it doesn't absolve him of the issue, though, and I certainly wouldn't say that that's the majority of our problem here. From what I've seen, I also understand the intensity of a storm can develop from flooding, but it certainly doesn't explain the sometimes anywhere from 2 to 4 days it takes for it to recede. That's not a storm, that's your rate of egress from the area, plain and simple. The outfalls, I think that does need to be addressed because that's your exit point. I don't know if it needs to be wider, something, but we're not getting the flow rate you need out. If there's issues downstream, I can understand that, but there's a lot to be addressed there. At the end of Aqueduct, I know that there's a street drain there that's severely damaged, and to me it looks like it could be collapsed easily. All the cement is crushed in, it looks awful. I don't know if somebody in a truck ran over it at some point or what have you. I have seen a lot of the construction debris, a lot of the mud going down there. The other thing that I think that I heard that what I don't understand, I guess, from my point of view, is I don't understand why you need to get a permit approval to move forward for something that's been a problem, in my understanding, for at least a couple of years. I don't know that having additional plots approved somehow changes that drainage plan. I don't see why you can't start working on that now. The things that we're talking about checking now, that could have been done at any moment before tonight, but it's not being done. To me, he wants to keep moving forward to get to what he wants without addressing a problem that we've had for a long time. We don't want to see him get further in the process. That does not help us. The stopgaps that might be in place later, I'm not sure how they work procedurally, but we don't know that we have the visibility here. Here's the one chance where we know there's a stop and we know what's going on. Like my neighbor Brian has said before, we don't, begrudge the man making any money. We want to see him make his money, but we don't want to be left holding the bag after if it's not resolved. And from what I've heard tonight, I don't see any reason why this can't be fixed first, but then move forward. He talked about the large investment. I agree, it probably is one. But from my point of view, whether you approve it now or later, that investment has to be made either way. So I'd like to see it made now, then we know our problem's fixed. And then I think the majority of the residents in our neighborhood would get behind you and help, be happy to do so. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Scharf. I moved into the neighborhood in November 2014, and I met Mr. Brennan in January 2015 at our HOA meeting, because he also owns our HOA. These same problems that we keep hearing about the beaver dam is the same thing he was talking about in 2015 with zero progress. I keep hearing that the flooding is going on the west side of the neighborhood. It is not. It floods the west side of the neighborhood. It floods the central part of the neighborhood. I live on 115 Oaklawn Drive, all the way up in the front of the neighborhood, right behind the barn. It was flooding there during the last rain. That's how bad the flooding problem is. The front pond up in the neighborhood floods over into the adjacent lot next to us, which has the big lake next to it. Every time it rains heavy, this happens. He has made zero progress in the last 3 years. We've heard he can't even produce the covenants for our neighborhood that we've asked for since 2015, January 2015. So why are we to trust that he's going to fix a problem that has been a problem for the last 3 years?
Is that shown on the back side?
That's Santa New Way. It's in the center.
Yep, that's in the center.
This is the school. That's the school.
Yeah, we're talking, this flooding is 4 to 6 inches deep. This isn't a problem that, it needs to be fixed now before he moves on.
I agree.
Appreciate it.
I'm ready to make a motion.
I've got some relevant information. I created the slide sheet here. If you want to scroll through RC, there's actually prior to... I'm sorry, my name is Brian Horton. I live at 126 Saratoga Drive. If you scroll forward, RC, I believe, or no, right there, you can see right there, that is what floods. That is what floods as of June of this year. The most recent bad flooding that we had was in June. It was in late June, about the third week. There are only 6 houses that did not have the entire street filled with water in front of them on the entire street of Aqueduct. If you want to keep going, RC. These are the pictures from June of this year. You can see how high the water is in the street. Someone in many of these locations, if you'd left for the day, left a car parked on the street, when you got home, you could have damage to the interior of your car. When I drive my Ford Taurus off of Saratoga through Santa Anita during these floods, I have water come through the doors. It's that high. This is just I've shown some of y'all seen this before, but this is where the flooding was. But last year in 2016, this is not Hurricane Matthew. During Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Matthew is something that was basically hit us in Effingham County about like a tropical storm. And from what I recall, we could have gotten at least double the rain on the high side in terms of what the estimates were a day or two out if it was a direct hit. I went out at 2 o'clock in the morning to check on some of my neighbors. I was thigh deep, mid-thigh deep in the cul-de-sac there. 2 of the houses were fully engulfed. They were islands. There was water up against the foundation on all 4 sides, and 2 of them had water running underneath the garage door into the garage. We actually have some flooding that you can see. This is up in the front. This is on Meadowlands Drive. This is very far forward. This is nowhere near the back, near the big ponds. This is water that's sitting out on properties that haven't been developed yet. And that's why, to me, it's a concern. I know it's a text issue, but as you build more of these houses, what we've seen is that the flooding on Aqueduct has gotten worse as more houses have been built on Aqueduct. It's the June flooding on Aqueduct was the worst it's ever been, even though that's not the worst rain, because all of that property is being graded to flow into the street, and more houses have been built, which prevents the water from being absorbed. This picture was taken this afternoon. That is the spillway, and that is the creek behind the spillway. The water is over top of the spillway today, and it hasn't rained today. And there's water in the creek that's supposed to lead away. So we still have an issue. The water is not going anywhere.
Some water today is still in the streets of the subdivision.
We don't have water in the street today, no,
The
sir.
pond is full.
The pond is full. You can see it's over top of the spillway, the water, and there's water back there still in the drainage creek that's supposed to take it. So, I mean, I just wanted to have y'all to have that photo, because that was taken at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So, I mean, we had 6-7 weeks ago, we had flooding that lasted for a couple of days. And the problem that I have is, I know there's probably some very good engineers that worked on this. I'm an engineer myself. I work at Gulfstream. I repair aircraft. And sometimes I deal with engineers that work on the design side of things. They tell you that there's not a problem with the design. And I can point to them, I say, we have cracks here, we have problems here, and they'll look at you and say, there's not a problem. When there's a problem with your system, if you think you have a good system and the system's failing, that's the system telling you got a bad design. So there could be some...
That's why I went to a field guy for the sun, so I just handled it as if this was my property and I could control it, what would I do? And I looked for a solution, and I went to a field guy rather than an engineer. Nothing against engineers, okay? But if you need something quick, you go to a field guy.
And the issue
field
too...
guy says, you get a pump.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The issue too of the levels not being level, it's on all the ponds. It's and the ones that are connected, there's not an issue with there not transferring water between. It's flooding out of both. All of the, it's not an issue, I don't think, if there's not a big enough pipe or the pipe's not connected. It's not an issue of the one pond that has a spillway is doing okay, but the other pond's not.
There may be 4 things that contribute to it, no doubt. Okay?
Yep, and I would say that Mr. Brennan purchased the property in June of 2014. It's been 3 years, and it's the citizens that I feel like had been doing all the work to drive this to be addressed. Mr. Brennan controls the HOA. He has contact information for all of this, and there's been practically no information sent to us about what
That's part of where I'm at, that we met ECP, got them to get rid of these dams. We're doing work.
We don't know that.
I know, but we're doing stuff as a commission, working with private property owners, which we don't even need to be doing. To me, that should be on the developer to find out where downstream the property owners are having issues, talk to them. We can come alongside and partner with you on those things if somebody does that later, but something needs to be resolved here, just as we're still on today. I feel like before we move forward with
Can I speak?
additional lots. Yes, sir. Well, let me say
I just basically wanted to say, like Brian was saying, I don't have any issue with property being developed in the back. I'm totally fine with all those houses being built.
yeah, we don't need, we're just concerned about the fund that you're concerned about.
It's not a personal thing, like I don't want the properties to be developed.
Thank you very much. You want to respond to the comments he just made?
Yeah, if you don't mind. This picture obviously shows that the downstream issues are not resolved. The water's not going anywhere, and that's today. In addition, I've got over a year's worth of emails with county officials from working on this issue, I've met Toss Allen out there.
Are you willing to put some type of pump or something in there to alleviate the existing problems, yes or no?
So here's the thing, where am I going to pump it?
I'll tell you what, that is something that needs to be figured out.
Yeah,
We'll get an engineer somebody to figure it out.
It's not our development, and we don't have property to be on around there to do anything with it. It's a development that you...
But I can't pump it downstream, obviously. And we can't put it in the spray field that the county was using because that was creating issues as well. I mean, as of yesterday...
For tonight, we need to make a motion. I'm just going to say this. And I hope that you can see the hours, that I've put into trying to find a solution. But the point that we're at right now is the easiest thing from the very beginning would have been for me to just deny it because it's easily denied. We don't have to approve this. and there's a problem, and we need it addressed, and we're trying to figure out how to be part of the solution to address it. But as it stands tonight, it can't be approved.
So, from our meeting, the point was to get with the engineers and have an issue that was resolved along the way. Obviously, understand that we can't get into a final plat approval without it being done. Per the comments from Hussey and Bell, can we go into a pipe and see if it's got debris in it and clean it out? Yes. Is it a temporary solution? Yes. Additional pipes and the downstream issue combined are what's going to solve the problem, according to them in a memo that I was sent, which I'll be happy to give you a copy of.
You may need to do that in order to come to us and
Here's
say,
what we're saying.
I've resolved the issue,
Here's what we're
like
saying.
additional parts.
I've tried to be of help, just to try to be of help, to like literally just try to be of help. But it's your responsibility to bring us a solution, that you've got it fixed, and then we can approve this. It's your responsibility.
I guess my question is, how do I fix it in its entirety without taking the recommendation from the engineers that for the future phases, additional pipes need to be installed from one pond to another to have redundancy and flow, as well as having the downstream issues resolved? That is their finding in regard to how to fix this problem.
You don't have to do the additional lot construction development to fix those issues.
No, I mean, right now it's already approved. It's just for less lots. It's the same amount of road coverage.
So you could go ahead and do the drainage improvements, design them, do them, and then see that it works, and then come back and say it's solved.
But at that point in time, I already have the number of lots. At that point in time, the number of lots will already be approved. Like, I can't move forward with the construction drawings.
You're talking about putting your water and sewer lines in now. You're talking about the water and sewer lines in addition to the drainage issues. You're talking about going to developing the lots as well.
Under the existing current approval, I could do that, correct? But
you could go ahead and do the drainage that you need to do, come out with a design.
I'm assuming that the drainage would change based on the number of lots.
Here's what I'm suggesting. I'm trying to make it as simple as I can possibly figure out. But you may have to do a temporary solution to fix drainage until you do a bigger solution. I don't know. But I bet they can tell you, right?
I bet those guys can figure it out. My recommendation would be even beyond that. It'd be, if your confidence is going to work, go ahead and design the drainage that's going to solve what you want to do, so that we see that new drainage solves what we have now. It'd be easier as to prove you would have redundancy of water.
I have a quick question for the attorney. Typically, if we deny this tonight, you have to go back before the planning board again. Can we take this up as a old item on the agenda if they bring us something back to approve it again, showing that some work has been done that's taken care of, whether it's a pump, I don't know what it is, but or does it have to go back before the planning board again?
Yeah. I would just recommend tabling.
Are we able to table it again? Table it for.
Yeah, table it. You haven't tabled it before.
This is new. We did not table it.
What period of time might you be able to, if you're saying you can't figure it out, I mean, there's not much point in tabling.
No, I'm not saying I can't figure it out. I'm saying that yesterday I received a memo from our engineer stating their solution to fix it. There are two solutions in here to fix it.
And it's only by giving you future.
It's a combination of fixing the downstream issues, and it's a combination of checking all the existing pipes and adding additional pipes with the next developments, tying ponds together for redundancy.
I'm going to entertain a motion to see what those things happen.
I'll make a motion that we table this item for 1 month from like whatever last meeting in September.
You want to table it to the second meeting in September?
Right.
Okay, that's September 19th.
That won't be time probably to fix it. That'll be time.
No.
I mean, according to their recommendation, part of fixing it's in the development of the future phase.
We can take a longer if we want, but what I'm looking for is something from him and his engineers where they've done some type of solution. If we're talking about a year solution and they have to have this approved, that's not going to work. So we need some type of temporary solution to keep the subject from flooding that's in their control, not our control.
But it may require.
And if that's not feasible, let us know that as well. If that's not going to work.
The only thing I would ask is to make sure that we can meet and confirm or fix the downstream issues.
Do you have something in writing showing us what our downstream issues are? Is that what you're saying?
You just saw a picture.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean entire issues.
Yeah.
That's part of the property around there that we don't control.
So, but
Okay, I make my motion. I make my motion.
State your motion.
Second meeting in September, to table the item, to have information from him and his engineers that they have solved the flooding problem in some type of temporary manner that gets them to another stage. We'll see what you bring and see if it's approvable. And if you don't have something ready by then, just cancel it, and then we'll put it on a future agenda. We have to back before the planning board. We have to have a solution at this point. I don't know anything, we can talk about it online, but I don't know how we're gonna solve it tonight. I don't think it's solvable. We need the flooding resolved in that subdivision. And it's your subdivision. And I wish I could come across nicer, because I've tried. I've done a lot of legwork myself trying to help.
Looking at the pictures, and looking at the situation we still have in Stillwell.
If we approve more houses in there, if you think that the county has any type of liability whatsoever today, and we approve more houses in there, we've got liability. So please understand our situation as well. That's all I'm going to say.
We'd love to see you build them all. We need a solution to this. We have a motion to table to the second meeting in September to allow you to come up with a solution to present to us by then. I have a second from Mr. Deloach. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. So, Mr. Chairman, we're going to table it for now. Give you a chance to get in here and see if we can find a solution. Allow us to approve additional text amendment. So, with that being taken, we'll go to number 9, public hearing. I'll read this and then we'll open the public hearing number 9. Planning Board recommends approving an application by Savannah Industrial Development LLC to rezone 13.65 acres out of 140 acres located on McCall Road, Main R1 to I1 to match existing I1 zone tract adjacent to property map number 432, parcel 69 in the second district. Mr. R.C. fill us in and then we'll get a public hearing.
Yes, sir. Savannah Industrial Development LLC is under contract to purchase this 13.65 acres, and they are wishing to rezone it to I-1 along with the adjacent I-8 property that's next to it. This will be become part of the industrial or the Omni Tracks development. Really is kind of squaring off the property. If you look at the map here, the 13 acres is this area right
So
here.
they're just giving that one little section right there. That's CSX Road to the right?
Yes, sir.
So that's track.
Yeah, that's McCall Road right there.
Okay, I thought that I see it. Okay.
This is just an extra piece they're buying that ties into it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
And one request they're also making is that there not be any separate buffers. I believe it's still, it stays a standalone 13-acre tract.
No additional buffers other than what you do on the outskirts like you have on.
Almost. Well, let me state my name first for the record. And
All right, we're going to open the public hearing. Go ahead.
all right. And I didn't just happen to be here, Commissioner Jones. I came for this one and got tied up in the other one a little bit, but that's okay. CJ Chance, Hussey Bell here representing Omnitrax as the developer, Savannah. Yeah, that. Savannah Industrial Development LLC. So just to tell you how we got to where we are, we've been working, and many of you know we've been working with the client for going on 2 years now. They've been working with the Development Authority. We've done several iterations of plans, laying out the infrastructure. What we have done is actually approached the Sharpleys about, more land. But we felt that this was the only piece that was needed. And if you notice along McCall Road, there's a kind of a slither of property that the Development Authority actually owns. You can see that narrow strip there. So we go from that point perpendicular over to the property line, it squares it off and allows for the infrastructure to be placed more in a better sense, a more economical way. We did have a preliminary wetlands delineation done, not approved by the Corps. Of course, we would have to have one approved by the Corps before we did any development on it. But this is just simply a sales contract. So what we have requested is that you rezone 13.65 acres into I-1, which matches the zoning surrounding that property. And we ask not that there not be any additional buffers required. What we ask is that part of the sales contract between Savannah Gateway Industrial Development and the Sharpleys is that the Sharpleys will agree that there be no buffers adjacent to their property. So they have 145 acres currently, which will be lessened by 13.65 acres. And they have agreed that they would not require any buffers. And where that came from was a previous zoning condition that the commissioners have made on a different industrial park, where if the adjacent property owner agrees to it, then you don't have to have the buffer. The Sharpleys have written that into the sales agreement, and they are agreeing to it. So if that requirement or if that condition is not upheld, the sale will not go through, and the property, at that point, we don't need the rezoning. So they're agreeing to it.
If that condition is not met,
The sale won't happen because at that point, it's not worth purchasing the 13.65 acres. Does that make sense?
yeah, can we word it rather than say no buffers or requirements?
If the adjacent property owner agrees to it, I think is acceptable.
Okay, if adjacent property owner agrees, and can I add in the word no additional buffers? Like, does that?
I don't know what that would do for you. I mean, to be honest with you.
Are there no buffers on any?
Yeah, we've got. I mean,
That's what it would do for me.
Effingham County current zoning ordinance requires 300-foot buffers for industrial to any residential. So the Sharpley tract is currently zoned AR1. Okay.
If it doesn't change anything, it just helps.
You can add it.
It helps.
I don't have a problem with
Okay,
it.
it helps the citizen read it.
Okay.
And this says, oh my God, they approved something with no buffers. But if you say no additional buffers, then they recognize if there was something in place that it's a little safety.
All right.
Let me ask you this.
Can it be worked?
Yes, I want to clarify this. So the line across where you're drawn, there's no buffer there.
No, sir.
If you go north on the
Yeah.
Sharp property, that buffer will still be there.
That's correct. They've agreed to wipe out all buffers along their property. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Adjacent to their property. Now, that doesn't do anything for buffers adjacent to anyone else. So I guess
That's all the way around.
if you zoom out, it's the northern line east of McCall.
So therefore, the sentence saying no additional buffers if adjacent property owners agree,
Not just that.
That doesn't really work, Commissioner Jones.
Go
it
up.
doesn't help.
Go up.
I think the motion should be made to say
The
that
Sharp property will have no buffer. That's what
no buffers beyond what the additional property owner requires.
The remaining properties that the Sharpley would still retain, the Sharpleys are okay with there not being a buffer.
I just want to make sure that it stands. It's not just that little strip.
No, sir.
All the buffer goes away.
And again, that is in the sales agreement.
Yeah, and the property owners agree, I'm not sure
Yes,
it's
sir.
a problem, I just want to make sure that understands.
This sales agreement, this sale's been under contract for going on 2 or 3 months now, and it is an anticipated closing of, I think, the second week of October right now, and contingent upon this meeting tonight.
Say it again, no buffer.
No additional buffers beyond what is required by the adjacent property owner. And I think that adjacent property owner is going to come back in the sales agreement and say none. So that, I guess that way it takes it off of the commission. It puts it on the property owner
That's
at that
right.
point.
And then if, for future, if the Sharpies ever want to sell, that non-buffer already exists.
That's right.
The buyer has the knowledge of what they're buying into.
That's correct.
So it's okay.
So is that going to be somehow in the GIS record, so if I was going to buy the shopping property?
No, sir, it would be
Contract's not built yet.
it would be in a title search is where you would find that
You
out.
have an opportunity to know that there's no buffer there.
If you're doing your due diligence right, you would know it. That's right. You would know it.
So that's recorded somewhere.
Yes, sir.
So we can see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak regarding for this rezone? Anyone want to speak against? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Okay, I want to read one more time because I'm not sure what's under. No additional buffer other than what the seller agrees to.
Beyond what the adjacent property owner requires.
Okay.
But it eliminates the existing and RC, I'm understanding that motion would read such that the adjacent property owner would dictate what the buffer
You
would
may
be.
want to that the adjacent property owner will agree to a buffer.
Give me the words that everybody's
Then
comfortable with.
additional, because potentially there's going to be no buffer whatsoever.
That's correct.
So I think if you add the word additional,
I'm trying to lawyer.
I thought just identify who the adjacent property owner is at this time, so we know what adjacent property owner we're talking about. I'm assuming there's more than one.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to do an alt on this thing, and I got an attorney in Atlanta, an attorney in Savannah, an attorney in Denver.
Yeah.
So what?
That's not my problem.
It's mine,
How long days? Sorry.
Did you say you didn't want the?
I guess the way that I've been mentioning it to you is it leaves open that you can still have the same 300-foot buffer that's required on industrial property now, which is not the intent of it. So,
What's in the purchase contract?
I don't have a copy.
Purchase contract, there was agreement between Sharpley's and Savannah Industrial Development to eliminate the buffers.
Because I could put
Contractual.
something like in accordance with the purchase agreement between the Sharpleys and the IDA. If you know that that's covering it.
Yeah, that covers it. It states in the sales agreement, the sales contract, that all buffers between the remaining Sharpley property will be eliminated.
Are you guys comfortable with saying it in that way?
Do you want to connect it with another contract that may not be connected with what we're talking about in the show? I like it better when you just say no additional buffer.
But the no additional buffer leaves in still the possibility for the 300-foot buffer, and we're trying to word it in a way such that, that that's mutually beneficial.
So the word additional message you up there.
Yeah, because it implies that
there's already one.
To me, it implies that the existing buffer remains.
No buffer required
No buffer required between the two properties, between the two parcels.
No buffer required between the two parcels, other than may be required by the adjacent property owner.
Bam, that'll work, because then that gets rid of anything that you can impose on it. Say it again, Chairman.
No buffer required. No buffer required between
The two
other than what's
properties.
required by the adjacent.
That'll work, that would work.
Other than what's required.
By the
Well, he's
the
already,
adjacent property owner. So
Wait.
if you get a contract that requires it, and there's going to be no buffer.
and that's permanently going forward.
Yes, and even if he were to
Yeah,
sell
because I'll be
his property.
recorded that there's no buffer here.
Because when he signs the sales contract, he's going to agree, which the sales contract will be signed in October. When he signs the sales contract, he's agreeing to no buffers.
Sales contract's already executed.
Okay.
I mean, there is, the sales
Just the closing.
The closing.
Okay.
You do that?
I think that works.
So the motion to approve the zoning,
If it doesn't work, then we'll come back.
the stipulation that
If you're worried about after the sale, then if you say it that way, it goes to the buyer, could they come in? Is that what you're worried about?
No, I'm not concerned about that, a new buyer. We just,
I'm missing something here. We're approving the zoning with the stipulation that there will be no zoning beyond what's required by the adjacent property owner.
no,
I don't see what else you need.
no, the county doesn't put, the county, the county has a buffer requirement currently.
We're saying there will be no buffer requirement. There will be no buffer requirement.
There won't be one.
Adjacent
Then no
property
buffer.
requires.
Yeah, okay.
No buffer required.
Removing the additional, which we
I'm gonna leave the word additional out. I'm gonna
Okay,
put no
that's
buffer
right.
requirement.
beyond what the adjacent property owner requires.
Okay,
That would work
okay.
legally.
Requires, I feel like it needs to say at sale, because if there becomes another owner over there, somebody might say, oh, we thought we could go in and require this now.
That makes them bill fast.
They have to be,
Bring jobs faster.
Get it done.
Does adding that sale hurt? It doesn't hurt.
I don't see that it does. When is it going to happen?
The closing happens in October.
30
Second
days.
week of October.
30 days. Yeah,
But that's
that's right.
That's
So-
what we said.
And I guess not seeing the contract we have then.
Well, it's that's their problem, the work, the best it is done, and if if something's in there, then that's a problem, they have to come back.
Can you make the motion, as Chairman Corbett said, and then you have already called for a special meeting on August 22nd, I think. Haven't you?
Do we need to do that? I mean, if you're good with it,
Just to eliminate.
it's not create issues for us, because we know what.
Okay, well then I'm fine with it.
I agree.
Okay, let me try to say it in a way I think makes sense, and if anybody has a problem, speak it, okay? I'll make a motion that we approve it with the planning board and staff's recommendations, with the adjustment of number 5 to read, no additional buffers on the adjacent Sharpley, on the property adjacent, that being sold from the Sharpleys.
Take out the additional.
Take out
Take
the
out
addition.
additional. Take out.
Okay, and you can leave out additional. Being sold by the Sharpleys.
You good with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rezoning?
Because then it would
No
read
buffers?
no buffers.
Yes.
As they have agreed.
Here.
Does it say all agreed?
Identifies the Sharples agreed.
Correct.
I think the Sharpleys are not here tonight.
They're not.
I'm gonna put as they agree the contract, and then if not,
But I haven't seen the contract, and no offense, but relying on whatever you're saying. So that's.
Right.
okay, let me reword it. As long as it's agreed to by the sellers, the Sharpleys in the contract, as long as it's agreed to by that party.
Or as agreed to by seller in sales contract.
Say it all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I made a motion that we approve a planning board staff recommendation with the new wordage on number 5 to be no buffers required on the adjacent property owned by the Sharpleys if they agree to it in the sale.
Second.
That was.
I know that should have been there. I know. It should have.
Motion, Mrs. Jones, second on Mr. Kiefer. Got one question. Put the word in there, new. Is that the same problem as additional? Should it just say with no buffers instead of new buffers?
I did not see. I think that's there.
She did say it.
Just don't have new. I think
Just
No,
wanna make sure.
no buffers.
No buffers. Okay.
No
So
buffers.
that's that motion without the word new. And motion second, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. I believe we have a zone.
Okay.
Sorry.
we're usually not that bad, really.
Okay, second reading to approve, second reading of application, which is featuring a motion
I'm going to
reading
protect everybody.
by Savannah Industrial Development, LLC, to rezone 13.65 acres out of 148 acres, located in Call Road, from L1 to I1, to match existing I1 zone track adjacent to property map number 432, parcel 69, second district. Can you restate that motion?
No, I make a motion that we approve the second reading
But no, everything.
as it was written.
As it was written. Motion by Mrs. Jones to approve the second reading as it was stated. Second. Second by Mr. Whitmore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That was easy.
Some of you probably should have spoken and helped me out of there.
I was trying. All right, number 11. We have, planning board recommends approving the application by Richard Lebanon, to rezone 4.25 acres out of 19.61 acres located at 150 Kelly Drive from AR1 to AR2 to subdivide for a home site, map 436, parcel number 25 in the second district. Mr. Arceo.
Mr. Chairman, basically what he said, Mr. Lebanon owns a 4.25 acre tract off Highway 30 and Kelly Drive, and wishing to rezone they are to the south side.
He's probably scared to come up here now.
I didn't think there was a need to. Yeah, I didn't think there was a need to. I actually owned the entire 19, Richard Lebanon, with my sister, I owned the entire 19.5 acres all there together. The 5 acres was cut out years ago so my aunt can build a house. So the 436, I think it is. Yeah, the
left corner of that is actually cut out. It has been sold off, and so now it's less than 5 acres, so it's 4.25, I believe. I just need to zone that so I can build a house on that parcel right there. Because the rest of it's tied up with a bank loan, it would just be a pain in the butt.
Very good. Anyone here wants to speak for this rezoning? Anyone here to speak against this rezoning? Seeing now, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions, discussions from the commission? Do I have a motion?
Well, we don't want to be any additional pain in that area. So with that said, I make a motion that we approve with planning board staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Richard Lebanon to rezone 4.25 acres out of 19.61 acres located at 150 Kelly Drive, AR1 to AR2, to subdivide for a home site map 436, parcel 25 in the second district. Motion for the second reading.
I'll make a motion we approve the second reading as read.
Motion by Mrs. Jones, second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Thanks, sir. 13, the planning board recommends approving an application by Michael Lunsford for a variance to reside in an RV during construction for a home located at 1535 Shawnee Beach Road, map 247A, parcel number 15 in the 3rd district.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Lunsford requested a variance to be permitted to live in the RV while his house is being constructed. He's required a building permit and has begun construction of his house, wishing to be able to live nearby to oversee it. Is in far northern part of the county. Staff and planning board recommended approval for a period of 9 months.
9 months?
Yes, sir.
All right. Public hearing, anyone want to speak for? You don't have to say anything now, it's just an opportunity.
Okay, I'm Michael Lunsford. I just wanted to be able to answer any questions, if any. And thank you for the, for consideration.
You want to speak against? Any questions or discussions from the commission? You have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Close public hearing, I'm sorry, I was read that.
Second.
Motion to approve. Mr. Jones, second by Mr.
Yeah, make a motion to approve with planning board and staff recommendations.
Yes, second by Mr. Commissioner Loper. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of the application of Michael Lunsford for a variance to reside in an RV during construction for a home located at 1535 Shawnee Beach Road, map 247A, parcel 15 in 3rd district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And second reading is approved.
I lived in an RV while we built a house one time ourselves, so God bless you.
Have marriage counseling lined up?
The worst part's the closet.
Building a house and living in an RV, that is going to be a trial for marriage. All right, number 15, planning board recommends approving an application by Clifton H. Hall III to rezone 4.03 acres out of 5.4 acres located on Highway 17 North from AR1 to AR2 to subdivide for a home site, map number 239, parcel 22 in the 3rd district.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hall is requesting a rezone 4.03 acres from AR1 to AR2 out of the 5.4 acre tract to deed to his son to construct a home. The remaining acres left AR1 to recombine the adjacent property.
Okay, we open the public hearing on this item. Is he probably on here tonight?
Yeah, I'm here.
You don't have to speak, you can come up here and ask a question.
I'm good, I'm good.
Anyone here want to speak against this rezoning? I'm going to move this long. Okay. I don't see anyone speaking against it, so close this public hearing. I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to approve with planning board and staff recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lotus, second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. We do the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Clifton H. Hall III to rezone 4.03 acres out of 5.40 acres located at Highway 17 North from AR1 to AR2, subdivided for a home site, map number 269, parcel number 22 in the 3rd district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Roach, to approve the second reading, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Mr. Chairman, I want to recuse myself.
For the next item? Okay, so the motion carried on number 16. On number 17, just let it know that Mr. Loper has recused himself and stepping away from the board table tonight. Number 17, the planning board recommends approving the application by Danny Loper for a variance to allow an additional lot on a private access easement located at 205 Katy Court, map 430, parcel number 33 in the 4th district.
Mr. Chairman, this item and the following item related to the same piece of property. Mr. Loper's requesting a variance to allow an additional lot to be served by a private access easement. Staff and planning board recommend approval at the planning board meeting. The owner of the property that was in attendance and had no issue with another property using that easement.
Okay. Is Mr. Danny Loper here tonight? Does anyone on the board have a open public hearing for us? Anyone have a question or comment from Mr. Loper regarding this variance?
I would just like to have my daughter and her family be my neighbors.
No question comes. How about that? Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak against this variance? Seeing no one speaking against it, I'll close this public hearing and entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the planning board recommendations.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve planning board recommendations. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Any carries. So we have a second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Danny Loper for a variance to allow an additional lot on a private access easement located at 205 Katy Code Court, map 430, parcel number 33 in the 4th district. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Motion by Mr. Lowe, second Mr. Floyd to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. It's done. And final item number 19, planning board recommends approving an application by Danny Loper to rezone 5.01 acres located at 205 Katy Court, AR1, AR2, map 430, parcel 33 in the 4th district.
Mr. Chairman, this is rezoning for this previous item's property. Mr. Loper requesting to rezone this so he's able to subdivide this lot.
So they put 2 on 5 acre tract.
He's requesting to rezone the AR2 so he can subdivide the lot into 2 tracts.
Right, two lots on 5 acre tract. Mr. Loper, anybody want to speak for this rezoning? I think that's clear what it is. I think we're just bringing it up as an opposition to find. Does anyone want to speak against this tonight, this rezoning? I see the opposition, so I'll close the public hearing and I'll see if there's any questions from the board. If none, then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the staff and planning board recommendations.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve staff recommendations. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Danny Loper to rezone 5.01 acres located at 205 Katy Court, AR1 to AR2, map number 30, parcel 33 in the 4th district. A motion?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Okay, very good. Yeah, did we get all our, that's all the business, did we get all our staff, members, other staff, we need to report to the long time off? Okay, seeing none, I believe there was a request to have a follow-up. Executive session to discuss home litigation. Motion to go to executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session and discuss personal property and pending litigation. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Lover. For executive session, discuss property, personnel, and litigation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We have 2 ayes, so all approved.
I said,
All in favor, say no. I'm trying to move it along.
I like it.
Is it audio on? All right, have a motion from Mr. Floyd.
Make a motion to go back to work session.
And a second.
I'll second.
And Mrs. Jones, go back into the regular session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, back in regular session. Do I have a motion to approve the executive session meeting? And that was of August 8th, which is tonight, first meeting minutes, right?
We have 2 sets of minutes to be approved
Okay.
for August 1st and August 8th.
August 1st and August 8th, executive session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second Mr. Loper to approve the August 1st and 8th executive session minutes. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And that's done. Then we have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion by Mr. Loper to adjourn, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you.